How's it going, everybody? I'm attorney Michael Ehline. I'm a California and Texas attorney, and I'm here for part 3 of the BZ Watchdog arrest body cam footage breakdown. I've got a retired whistleblower cop who's going to help us do a blow by blow on the last part. We left off last time at 44 minutes and 54 seconds, and I have the once accused and now plaintiff, potentially plaintiff, in a case against this particular police department and probably several police officers, BZ Watchdog. BZ, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself really quick?
Oh, BZ Watchdog. I think everybody pretty much knows who I am. And if you haven't, you don't know who I am, make sure you subscribe to my channel. You'll get to know who I am very, very fast. Well, once a Marine Corps veteran, always a Marine Corps veteran, police activist now, out there exposing police corruption, city corruption, and everything, from the little rookie cop screwing up all the way to district attorneys, which we will, you guys will see that video later. But just me in a nutshell, I'm just like I was telling these guys in the back screen, poking the bear, kicking the hornet's nest, man. That's what I do.
All right. And then, Ryan, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself for people who are joining us who don't know you?
All right. I'm the American Texan on X if you're looking for me. I'm a retired police officer, medically retired. I was a police officer in both Texas and Virginia. I went to the academy in both states, which means I did a lot of push-ups. I was... I'm here because these guys always talk crap about the police, and I only want them to talk the right crap about police. So here we are.
All right. All right. And then James Forbes, thanks for joining us. Selwindon, what's the matter, you? Hey, good seeing you, man. Let's OTVO, I'm glad you joined us. Auditing Canada, thanks. It's always nice to have people from the Soviet Socialist Republic of Canada join us. And we're going to go ahead, I guess, and just get it going, right, guys? Do you have anything else you guys want to say before I start the video?
I know that in about 3 hours. Just know that in 3 hours, I'm premiering part 3 of investigating Hillsborough, and this happens to be part 3 of my body camera footage on Michael Ehline. So we're doing 3s today. I'm going to throw up the little gang 3 sign. Oh wait, I shouldn't do that because I was told that means something else the other day. So never mind. I'll retract that little 3 mark.
All right, terrific. Let's get it going, guys. Here we go.
Officer Munchkin. Little guy.
Suzanne, my brother, like it is at the level of what cuff is. The hand he's complaining about, it is in the cuff. So there is like some kind of regulation.
So BZ, we can't hear what he's saying, but I would imagine this is the EMT, and he's talking about the handcuffs having been too tight on your wrists. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, he's telling the guys that the handcuffs around my wrist, if you look, my wrists are probably smaller than his EMTs, so you can't sit there and say I've got big wrists that don't fit the handcuffs. That was just a little man's excuse for hurting me. But this guy here is talking about how I have a laceration, which I did. I still have a scar from it, by the way. And the fact that it caused, trying to use the word that he used. It's the word basically when you cut off the circulation and it starts, I don't want to say causing lesions, but causing your hand to start changing colors. So I don't know what the medical word would be for it, but.
Okay, and so this is something a lot of people would make fun of Chili DeCastro about. He calls them torture cuffs. And I just want to point out to you guys that part of my law practice involves not just police shootings, but tight handcuff cases where my clients have lost a hand or fingers due to the blood flow having been cut off and nerve damage, and they literally will lose their body part, they'll lose their limbs. So handcuffs are no joke. And so for all you people who want to make fun of Chili DeCastro for calling them torture cuffs, I'm of the opinion that they are torture, that torture cuffs are torture. And Ryan, what do you have to say about that? Do you have any, you've done this for a living. Tell us what you think about torture cuffs.
Do your best to stay out of them. They're also disgusting. if they don't take your hand because you got the circulation cut off, you're going to lose it from gangrene or whatever grossness. Because I had it on some drunk who'd shit and pissed himself 2 hours before.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, they're gross. They're disgusting.
Yeah, well, it can literally desiccate your wrist and make your hand purple. It's unbelievable. And so, one of the things that I wanted to point out, because I know both of you guys have been with me this whole time while we've covered this rather lengthy video that covers body cam footage that you were able, BZ, to obtain from law enforcement. But one of the things that I wanted to get into is that in a torture cuff case where if you want to sue the police for an amputation, a fingertip amputation or a hand amputation, you have to, in advance, tell them that the handcuffs are too tight. You have to give them what we call in law notice. You have to give notice to the police. And then what do the police normally have to do, Ryan, once a suspect or an accused tells you that as a law enforcement officer?
You have to act immediately. So you're supposed to get them out of the car, check the cuffs, check fitness, make sure you've double locked them. Because sometimes, I mean, it's a little bitty freaking pin, right? So sometimes that doesn't get knocked. So, you know, you might have to loosen them up. It's one of the reasons I carried 3 pairs. You know, you might have a big person. You might need to get an extra set. You might need to, if you do have them like that, and it's somebody that's combative, you know, you've got 1 set on, you might want to hook the 2 sets up, put those on before you release the other set. There's lots of stuff you can do fast, but you have to do it. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you're running the risk of hurting somebody permanently.
Right. Now, have you ever heard stories of cops who just are vengeful and they're spiteful and they purposefully put handcuffs on too tight?
Yeah, it happens. But I've also heard the other side where, you know, it's a stressful situation. Somebody goes to slap cuffs on and snaps somebody's tibia.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Okay. So,
Hey, Michael,
I
before
mean,
you start,
it happens. Well, so you get taught, right? You've got them both in hands, right? You got one on each side and you push down, right? And it'll slap across so you don't need to do anything. Well, if you're in a hurry and you're trying to get it on, somebody had them flipped the wrong way and was trying to get the double side on, not the hinged side. And
okay, but so, I thought a tibia isn't tibia your leg? Are you referencing like
sorry. What's radius?
Tibia?
No, the ulna.
Femur. No.
Okay. The ulna, right? Because the radius is on bottom. Anyways, one of the bones, the bone right here, broke it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Go ahead, BZ. What did you need to say?
That can happen, but no, yeah, there are people like click, 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 keep talking trash. Yeah.
That's what happened here. And by the way, backstage, I've got a picture pulled up of my hand. So you look at backstage. Pull it up on the screen.
Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. I just was all right, let me see. Okay, here we go. Add to the scene. Holy crap. You do have a pretty good hand.
That was my right hand, and you can see right above that little black dot right there where it starts, where it's really purple. There's a laceration right to the left of it and above from where he tightened them suckers down. Yeah. And if you guys look at my wrists are not that big.
Well, you're a pretty big guy, though. I mean, how tall are you, BZ?
Yeah, but that's for a guy. I have small wrists, dude. My wrists are thin.
Well, how tall are you? Just out of curiosity.
I'm only 5'9".
Oh, okay. You look pretty tall in the pictures. Yeah, and that could be because
I'm a larger guy going this way and this way. I'm just not a large guy going this way.
And that could be also because you do have smaller joints. And so that's an advantage to bodybuilders like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He has very small joints, and so it gives the aggravated point of view that you have larger muscle bellies. So big guys, like stocky guys like me, because I do have large joints, I don't have that advantage. But the guys like a lot of Italian bodybuilders in particular, and I think that you're Italian.
I am Italian. In fact, my grandfather was an Italian bodybuilder. So
no kidding. Yeah. So they have so in pictures, you know, when they're doing their poses and stuff, they look much bigger because they have the smaller joints. So that's just something I throw at you because I used to really be heavily into bodybuilding before I threw my back out.
I mean, look, Ryan, put up your wrist, dude. Seriously.
But I also have paws. Like I've
Gotcha.
yeah, like I've got big hands too.
But you can see, though, in this particular image, which I believe was taken soon
In fact,
after.
this is the same hand right here, by the way. Same hand.
Okay. So it looks like soon after the handcuffs were removed, you were already getting desiccated in black and blue. And that's the problem, man, is it doesn't take long for nerve damage to set in. And I've had many, so all of the frauditors who are out there, you're absolutely wrong. These handcuff cases are serious business, and they can absolutely cause you to lose your fingers and your hands. And I've had multiple cases of that happening. And several of those cases were dismissed on summary judgment. Why? Because the victim / suspect never complained about the handcuffs being too tight. And so if you don't give the officer notice, you're depriving yourself of that. And so BZ Watchdog was intelligent here, and he advised the officer that yes, indeed, the
Several
torture
times.
cuffs were torture. Yeah, the torture cuffs were torture. And so what we're
They're
looking at now,
torturous.
right? And what we're looking at now, BZ, is the EMT showing the officers. It sounds like he's explaining the injury, and the reason I stopped the video is because I can't really hear him. It sounds really muzzled. Could you guys hear any of that? Give me a bunch of ones, guys, in the audience, if you could hear anything that EMT was saying. I couldn't. So BZ, kind of just paraphrase for us. What is he saying about your wrist injury?
He's basically just saying what I was just saying about my hand, where the laceration was, and how I have discoloration. That's what he was saying. Discoloration on my hand, and that it is caused from the handcuffs being on too tight. And I think he's purposely trying to talk very low because they probably told him that, hey, our cameras are on. So he's trying not to let it pick. I mean, dude, it's conspiracy up there. At Fort Worth, the ones that they have now, you literally have to press and hold while you're talking. You can't just press and then let go. So if you get into a altercation, you got to let go. Volume's going to pick up right away. So they really virtually cannot mute their mics without holding it down. You're going to visibly see that they're purposely holding it down, and they better have a good reason or they're getting written up. They're slowly but surely changing the policies in Fort Worth, but until we get rid of the district attorney that's completely backing them, the officers are just running rain. And like I said, we started to cover a little bit of those records that I got on Monday regarding the amount of cases of interference that Tarrant County's been dismissing out of all the arrests that most likely Fort Worth PD's been arresting people for, because that's anybody with a camera is a threat. And in this case, I really think this guy got pissed off because when he rolled up, I literally had my camera rolling. He saw it, and the first thing he saw, if we go back to part 1 of this live stream, you will hear him say when he slams the door on me, he was talking all that First Amendment stuff. I think he's a First Amendment auditor, so he was already pissed off that he had a camera on him. So
he already had you sized up that you're one of these crazy sovereign First Amendment auditor guys. So that obviously
little did he know going in, and
by the
little
way,
will he know in about 6 months when he gets notified of what's the healing process that's fixing to come. I know he's gotten written up over it, but he hasn't gotten served with anything just yet.
By the way, would you have ever guessed that What's the Matter You's grandma was Italian with a name like What's the Matter You?
Of course. I think that's the first thing I asked him if he was Italian.
That's funny. So, Ryan, I believe in our last video you mentioned something about how the body cams are changing now to where you're not allowed to turn them off. I believe that was you that mentioned that.
Well, so they're most of them, they're programmable. If you look at Axons, who is Taser,
Yes.
Theirs are programmable, and they've got the epaulet ones, they've got the ones that go to the chest, they have ones that can go to their hat, but it's the activation that is changeable, right? So anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute prior to them hitting the button, it'll activate. They have settings you can't turn it, you can't mute it. They have settings where it's Bluetooth with your car. As soon as your lights come on, it's on. They're recording. Like, it has to be. And if it's not, you did something wrong. A lot of them are going to where you can't turn off the mic because exactly what's happened here. You know, there's
Right.
been too many cases where we say, you know, there's something's alleged to have been said off camera or off mic, and you know, DAs can't prove it, and then they need re-election. So
Yeah,
we'll
we've
get
talked about that. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And wasn't the original purpose, and BZ's my legal beagle here, wasn't the original purpose, BZ, of body cam footage to make sure that we held the government accountable? And doesn't being able to turn off the audio or just turn them off indiscriminately sort of prevent the object of the statute from coming into play?
Was it not only for accountability, but I thought mostly it was for transparency.
Well,
And
so
also-
okay, so it goes back to a couple of things. Some of it was we started getting cameras for the guys that are doing the high speed stuff, right? And people found out that, hey, we can hold them accountable by this. And then you got a lot of the citizen groups that overwatched the police forces would say,
Citizen oversight.
hey, yeah, citizen oversight. When, you know, it's called different stuff in different precincts. They said, hey, you know, we want them to have these cameras so we can review how they're treating people. Because if there's complaints and they keep being unfounded, that's when they would get these citizen groups that would, you know, work with the chiefs, and then they'd say, hey, why don't we just get video cameras? And I got to say personally that they saved me way more than they ever got me in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you're an honest peace officer, it would make sense that you would want to have it recorded, right? Right? I mean, isn't that a fair statement?
Yeah, exactly, right. I've got nothing to hide. It's just like they're like, oh, I'm recording. I'm like, me too. Thanks. Would you mind just stepping back a little bit, because I'm going to turn my back on you because I know you're not a threat. You know I'm not a threat to you with my back to you. So if you don't mind, just stepping back while I, you know, attend the scene, right? That's easy enough. We're all on camera. This is great. These guys turning off their camera, it just makes it look like they're doing something shifty.
Go ahead.
Well, you got to remember too. You got to remember that they got it to collect evidence because they thought, oh, well, this is going to be easier to fry someone because instead of taking my word for it, we've got video and audio of a drunk falling over, people slurring their speech, and you know we've got it on camera. So like, there's no way I could be lying. But then all of a sudden, other people are filming. They're muting their. It's because they're manipulating their own evidence. Now it's actually getting the cops that were once doing some bad stuff. They're being caught because they're getting lazy, not forgetting or subconsciously not remembering that the mic's on. So they're not being aware. They're just being themselves. And now you're finding a lot of these bad apples that were hard to find before without somebody going out there with a camcorder. And now
you've also got guys, because it runs the gambit, right? You got guys that are narrating their own body cameras while they're setting somebody up too, which is some crap, right?
Yeah.
Stop resisting. I'm not resisting.
How easy is it for me to turn my back to the camera, go, oh God, don't hit me, grab somebody and fall?
Right. That makes sense. That's why I'm kind of a proponent of having a drone that flies above and films everything, but that'll probably
Michael, that's why
because that removes other people's civil liberties to go about their daily business without the cops surveilling them.
That makes
sense.
And that's why when a lot of these officers are showing up, there a lot of the policies are being rewritten where you have to angle your car and your dash camera to gather the full view of what's going on, along with the fish eye, because that's picking up your audio and close range and proximity, where the dash camera is picking up the whole picture.
Yeah, it used to be real easy to just get off camera.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like the remote. Yeah.
Now, Ryan,
remote sound.
Ryan, really quickly, I've got a question for you. I've always been curious. How does the police department justify turning off the camera when, as a defense attorney, I would argue that it's tampering with evidence? What is the argument that the station
investigative techniques? Oh, well, you know, we can't let go of all of our investigative techniques.
Oh, sources and methods, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they get away with muting their mic when they do it, is because it's investigative. But here's the thing. Isn't that why they have a records department, a legal department, and a redaction team that can actually do that so all that stuff doesn't get out to the public? So in discovery, you would want it fully unredacted so you know what actually transpired. But it's up to records, legal, and their tactic team policy to redact it to the public.
Right. Well, so you got to remember when I started, we were barely getting out of VHS. Right. So we were just getting into, a little bit of memory. We were getting into a little better microphones in the policy and everything. They were still writing it. They still are writing it. Right. Because we're getting more problems because they're finding out there are more problems. Right.
Of course.
What happens when you go into somebody's house or, it's an illegal search? You've got all kinds of stuff out. You've got medical records. What happens when I go to the hospital with somebody and it's reading my camera's still on, right?
Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah, if you're inside the hospital, it could be an issue with maybe HIPAA or something like that. Perhaps.
That's where the redaction team comes into play.
You had guys going into the secret squirrel parts of departments with their cameras on, and that stuff would get out.
That makes sense.
Well, see, and if you look at
arguments, I can see the
point. Learning how to redact that all has taken a lot of time. With AI, I think it's going to be a lot easier. With AI,
well, actually, with Axion and some of these companies, they have now what's called an add-on service, and it's a redaction software. So if you put in there with I think using AI, redact all license plates, boom, all the license plates are blurred automatically through the video.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend any time going through there. Certain words you want bleeped out, they can type that in there. It'll automatically bleep it out. Certain people's faces, it can do it.
Man.
It's doing all that.
5 years and all this stuff's changing. So, and it's going to keep.
But if you really want to get to it, well, check this out. If you think that's crazy, and this is something I'm starting to battle. Some people don't know about behind the scenes because I work with a network of people that aren't on camera that don't have YouTube channels. Like I have the blessing of working with you, Ryan, on some things when I call you or text you about your input on things. You have a channel, you're on X, you do things like that as well. I'm working with other people who don't have those outlets and don't want to be on camera. And what we're finding out is the Attorney General has an old decision back from 1980 something, back when they had cassettes. You remember the VHS, to where they've decisioned it. And they're basically saying that in their Texas public information laws that these agencies are not required to purchase redaction software or hardware. However, nowadays, with how easy it is to manipulate AI and stuff like that, they're still decisioning against it because they're basing it on a 1980s decision and no one's challenged it yet.
Oh, yeah, because it benefits them.
What's that?
It benefits them. It benefits them, right? So even if it's cheaper software now, they can still
free
say,
software like TipClamp
we don't have
or CapCut
software to redact that, so we can't release it. Sorry.
So it's based on older technology, and so what BZ, I guess, is saying is, well, now that we have newer technology, this 1980s case needs to be challenged.
Well, because you got to remember in 1980, it's not even a case; it's just a decision by the Attorney General. You got to remember 1980s, for you to manipulate VHS, you had to take it to somebody who could professionally do it, like Hollywood, and redact stuff and manipulate VHS and put it on a tape and reproduce it. Well, think about how easy it is now that everything's digital and AI, like Ryan and I were talking. You don't have to burn stuff on a DVD. You don't have to move stuff over you can move it over to a flash drive, but look at the add-on service that Axion has, where they use AI to literally manipulate, to blur stuff out, to cut stuff out. That's all we're asking, is to release the footage that doesn't violate HIPAA laws or somebody's privacy or anything like that. Something that would generically be open, instead of saying, hey, we don't have to buy redaction software, therefore we're going to use this excuse from the 80s to send up to the Attorney General to go ahead and stall you for 90 days to get the decision that we want. I've had that happen to me on a 911 call, believe it or not, recently out of Wise County. I'm fighting with them on that just for the 911 call. And I've never had that happen before. And a 911 call is all a matter of public record. Even if you left a phone number on there, it's a matter of public record for a phone number. It's not like it's a license plate. It's not a social security number. It's not a date of birth. It's not a driver's license number. It's not a resident address. So,
but with those, a person can actually request that the number not be left.
they didn't request it. What they did was they purposely in Wise County.
That's the only thing. If they do take it off,
I know. Well, I was getting ready to get into my situation on it because it's similar to what you were about to say. Wise County, literally, because they've been hiding records, because my ex-cop whistleblower that I have up there has been having trouble getting records because he caught also a felony charge because of some shady cops up there. Now, keep in mind, he's also an ex-cop of 20-something years retired. Never did anything. Caught an assault on a peace officer for hitting his house. He slapped his house because he turned around and got angry at the cops and was fixing to go inside. And literally, he's a city cop. They're a sheriff's cop. He stayed away because the sheriffs up there have been really dirty. They went to the point of my records, reaching out to the bank, having them type up a letter stating why they should not give out any information, why I should not get my records, and then forwarded it to the attorney general. I mean, they literally reached out, not, hey, we don't want our stuff to get out there. We don't want this person's number. We don't want this to get out. They literally reached out to them. They are literally hiding records. Now, this lady in the records department used some stupid decision on why. The attorney general, I don't know who she knows up there, literally went to defending her whole case for her and wrote out some other reasons why I shouldn't have the footage. So there's something really dirty coming out of Wise County, but we'll get into that in a later date.
And Tennessee Transparency does correctly point out that an attorney general opinion is just an opinion of an attorney general, and it really doesn't have any weight. It's not stare decisis. It's not positive law. So that is very true. Now, let me just tell you from my perspective, defending a case like this, what I'm going to argue is in California, Evidence Code Section 412, that the officer had within their power, the state had within its power to produce stronger and more powerful evidence. And by turning off the body cam footage, they deprived my client of being able to have access to that. And therefore, whatever evidence they do provide shall be viewed with distrust. And then to answer BZ Watchdog on this issue with respect to redaction, with or without redaction software, it's not the officer's job to practice law without a license and decide what is and what is not admissible or private. And what we do is we have what's called a motion in limine. And during most motions in limine, outside the presence of the jury, the prosecutor can bring motions to have evidence that's not reasonably deducible to be used as evidence that might be excludable based upon one of these privileges. And because of that, the judge can exclude that. And if there's a question about it, if I don't join or accept these arguments as a defense attorney, we can have what's called an in-camera hearing. In other words, a hearing outside the courtroom, in camera, in the judge's chambers, where the judge will look at all of this evidence and decide what needs to be redacted. And then the state can go back and redact that evidence. So from my perspective as a defense lawyer, there's absolutely no reason to turn off the body cam at all. And it doesn't make sense because it seems to go against the spirit of having body cams to make sure that we get an accurate idea and to protect the officers as well from false lawsuits. Do you guys have any comments on either of those things?
I do. Couldn't you, as a criminal defense attorney, keep pointing out that they keep muting the mics? Isn't that enough to plant the seed into a jury that reasonable doubt? Because why wouldn't they just leave their video on? Why would they?
Sure. And Evidence Code Section 412 does that.
Conspire? What possibly could they be conspiring? And why would they have to turn it off when it can be redacted in the records department?
And that's what basically would use Evidence Code Section 412. And then I would also be able to call the officer under 776 as a hostile witness, because obviously why are you turning off and muting the microphone and all that stuff? So yes, reasonable inferences can be drawn by this behavior that they have something to hide. Now, Ryan, have you ever been in court where that was ever argued by a defense attorney?
Yeah, actually, the argument went more like, well, why are you removing evidence that's potentially exculpatory?
There you go. Yeah. And in California, that would be
out right there.
And in California, that would also be the Izzazaga case, Izzaga. That's another case that we would rely upon. So yeah, that's. Do you guys have anything else to add before we keep on playing the video?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay, guys, here we go. And by the way, thanks for joining me, Gloria Ad, Rocky Justice, Popeye's Transparency. Super awesome to see you. Pro Se America, DLZ, Selwindon. Really appreciate all you guys joining me. If anybody wants to throw us a super chat or anything, if I see those big orange or yellow things or green things show up, I'll put your questions to the front of the line. It's a lot easier for me to spot questions when I see that stuff, even if it's a buck, just so I know if it's important. While I'm here for you to be able to ask questions and for me to be able to respond to them. All right, here we go.
I don't think it's a perfect society. I think it's hard to it's just this thing. Yeah, the way he's sitting on it, waiting on it or something. I mean, it's obviously purple on top.
Obviously.
You can see where it's covered.
Yeah, I heard that part. Hold on.
Heard that?
Oh, I heard that. He said it's obviously purple. So, BZ, that's pretty serious. I mean, your hand turned purple within, what, 15 minutes?
It was probably sooner than that because I couldn't see my hand. It was behind my back.
But was there, oh, got it. Well, based upon the footage, would you say that it was from the
I was
film?
probably in the back before he loosened the cuffs the first time. Since his body camera was an hour long.
Yeah.
Okay. The first 10 minutes of the body camera was him rolling up and him putting me in those cuffs and walking me to the car. So if you cut out that is 50 minutes minus the 20 that we're probably dealing with the EMTs here. So if you shave 30 minutes off an hour-long video, I was probably in the back seat in those cuffs for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
First, if you notice, he had to come turn the AC on halfway through that. I was being hot-boxed, by the way.
Right. And can you tell us what hotbox is, both of you, from Ryan's perspective and BZ's perspective, so people know what that is?
Hotbox is when it... You go ahead, Ryan. You go ahead. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, just put them in the back of a car that doesn't have the AC on in the back. Yeah.
And why would that be done? And why would an officer do something like that?
Because they're mean and torturous?
Literally to make them sweat. It is just to mess with people.
Okay.
I mean, people have done it like, oh, you want to make them talk? Just hotbox them. Throw them in the back. We'll get back to him in a minute. But because it also throws people off. What if they're lying, right? Make him sweat a little bit. He'll get out, and he won't be able to produce the same lies as well. And then you make him tell stuff backwards. So it can be psychological, not torture, just manipulation.
So Ryan, just hold on. So it might be used as part of an investigative process to make
interrogation.
Absolutely.
No way. Would that be considered valid, like a legitimate policy accepted sort of a thing, interrogation?
Bro, you just don't talk about it.
Okay, fair enough. What do you have to say about it? What do you have to say about
it? You can't tell by my facial expressions when you're asking those, and I'm shaking my head no. I already know it won't fly. Why do you think I was saying certain things like, will you turn the air on? How these cuffs are tight. I'm pointing out the obvious. I'm narrating on his body camera like he would on his body camera. Yeah.
It was all a lot easier when there weren't cameras too.
Oh, God, that makes perfectly good sense. Yeah.
How do you think you get confessions out of people?
Well, it kind of brings me back to the whole Lane Myers case. If you can keep someone locked up long enough, you can get a plea out of them.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Why do you think the Tarrant Assistant District Attorney is trying to get that enhanced to a felony? Because you got to sit there longer. You're going to probably most likely plea out to get the hell out of there.
All right. Do you guys have anything else you want to add before we keep playing the video?
No, I'm tired of looking at EMT guy. We can get past this part though. I mean, he's clearly like what the fuck.
Cheers, young man. If you want to sit here and chill and wait for the supervisor, I'll take the handcuffs off you, but you're sitting in the back of the car. Okay?
Well, hold on a minute. This is kind of odd. He's taking the handcuffs off of you. Now, Ryan, why would a police officer take handcuffs off of a suspect like that if they think they're dangerous, for example?
See, remember, okay, so we talked about that last time, remember? So already he's said, or at least acted like he doesn't find him dangerous, right? Because he's just keeping him in handcuffs because it looks more like policy, right? Like, oh, you're going in the back of the car, you got to go in handcuffs. Because when he takes him out, he doesn't, like I said, remember, a couple of extra handcuffs, throw those on, then remove. No, at one point he's completely out of handcuffs, rubbing his hand. He's like, all right, yeah, that's fine. Get him back.
So it sort of kind of ruins the narrative for the police that he might be dangerous. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, because they're not acting like it.
Actually,
Okay, so-
if you listen, he also states in the video.
Like he's under arrest, though.
He also states in the video.
Why are they taking his handcuffs off?
He actually states in the video, the reason I'm in handcuffs is because I did not ID. That's what he told the other guy.
I've
Understood.
never
So-
heard that as a good reason.
Right, but Ryan, so it seems like the main reason, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that police would handcuff someone is if they believe that that person, that suspect, is a danger to himself or others, correct?
Or under arrest.
Well, typically they put you under arrest if you'd violated a law, right? But that makes sense. So those would be the main reasons. And so by removing the handcuffs, doesn't that sort of make it seem like he's not really culpable of a crime?
And he's not dangerous.
Right. That's what I wanted to point out.
It's the whole thing. He doesn't seem dangerous. And this is, like I'm saying, the second time he's done it.
My goodness. That is
otherwise,
unbelievable.
Otherwise, you know where we go? Like, my handcuffs are too tight. Well, you tried to bite me. You spit at 2 officers and you kicked that guy in the balls. You'll get those handcuffs at the jail and you'll see the nurse there.
Uh-huh. Now, Wasamata does correctly point out, at least when I was growing up, besides Cambodian bongs, that hotboxing had to do with right. We'd all get in the our neighbor's car, usually the family car that they never use anymore, and fill that sucker up with pot smoke and just get hammered because the secondhand THC would get you more wasted, right?
I wouldn't know I was a choir boy.
I don't smoke. All my friends do.
Yeah, not that I would know anything about that, of course. All right.
That's how you pass the polygraph right there. Good job.
All right. All right. I'm gonna keep playing, guys. All right, here we go.
All right, yeah, we'll do it.
All right, have a seat. I'm going to check your bottles.
That's great.
Now this little guy's gonna go tamper with evidence.
Did we have hints?
That's exactly what I thought.
What's that?
Are you saying he wasn't?
He had regular cuffs on, then the hint cuffs.
I don't know him specifically.
So what are you saying, PZ? He had
He
regular.
had the regular cuffs on me, and then he threw the hinge cuffs to connect to the second
Yeah,
cuffs.
Okay.
Now-
so
now,
for a second, I
actually-
think he was that big a jerk and put you in some hinged cuffs automatically. That is you just pissed me off.
Now, I will tell you this, Michael, you will want to rewind this 10 seconds back when you get ready to start this, because this right here, nope, too far. Just go back to 46 and some change. Right. Yeah, right there's fine.
Okay,
See-
so those are called hinge cuffs. Tell us about that. I mean, Ryan, you're the expert. Tell us what hinge cuffs are, and then after you talk, BZ kind of expound upon what he says.
Oh, I wish I had a set sitting here. Okay, so regular
The hinge
handcuffs.
cuffs are more for control.
Just call your girlfriend. I'm sure you can find them.
Shh. Fiance, man, we're getting married.
Oh yeah. It's right
Okay,
there.
so regular chain cuffs have a chain in the middle, and you can manipulate them more ways, but they're also further apart. So when you have somebody that's of larger size, right, that has a hard time getting them behind your back, those are typically, you automatically go with those, and then you use the hinged cuffs when you want complete control of somebody, because you can manipulate that just a little bit, and they'll eat dirt because it hurts.
They hurt like hell, man.
Because it is a form. I mean, it
Form
is
of control.
and it's torture if you don't do it right. If it's done to you.
And if the officer isn't careful when he's grabbing them in control, they could pinch his skin too. So he's at a risk using those. So a lot of officers,
they hurt.
I'm not going to say that I've actually put hinge cuffs on people, but that was a former life, and I don't really get into that part of the employment when I got out of the Marine Corps. So I'll leave it at that. But I have experience putting hinge cuffs on people. That's all I wore is hinge cuffs.
Yeah, they suck.
So
All right. Okay. I'm going to keep playing then, guys.
but they're
All
great
right?
for control,
Here we go.
pain
So
manipulation.
So those are hinge cuffs that he has right there in front of us, correct?
Well, he has two sets of cuffs he's taken off me. One are the chains, and then the second pair he connected to the chain cuffs and the other hand of mine, so that I had more room behind me. One of them is hinged.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, and torture cuffs are torture, points out.
I have to tell Mike because he's too busy texting whoever he's texting.
He says, I am the clip commander says, and that is why Chili calls them torture cuffs. Absolutely. Okay, you guys ready to keep going?
Yep.
Someone got that from Jay and Silent Box Big Mike.
That's exactly what I thought he was.
Are you saying he wasn't?
He's trying to act like he's not. I don't know him specifically as someone who's done it.
Well, the problem is his knowledge. That's typical personality.
He's studying statutes off to me.
Yeah,
So.
to me that's more than just a advice. I say that.
So right off the bat, I knew he wasn't
He
complying.
thought you were
And
stubborn?
then I knew he was going to continue not to comply.
Pause it, Mike.
So
By the way, everybody, Chili DeCastro's in the house. Give me a bunch of ones for Delete Laws. Give me a bunch of ones for Chili. Good seeing you, Chili. All right, go ahead.
Ryan, what was your question? Because I couldn't hear you.
Now I'm lost. Did he thought you were a sovereign?
He thought I was
Is that
a
what he
First
asked?
Amendment. He asked if I was a First Amendment auditor. He goes, "I'm not
Auditor.
sure because I've never seen him. I don't know him specifically, but he knew too much about the law, and he started to cut himself off. The other guy's like, yeah, he started spouting off statutes and da 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 da." Well,
Yeah.
maybe you should have treaded lightly when someone started bringing out policy and statutes.
What up, Commander?
Instead, you doubled down, and that royally bit in the ass. At least the ass is coming to get bit, and I don't mean little teeth. You're getting the big teeth.
Good seeing you, SW Observer. Torture cuffs are always torture, buddy. Don't forget. Hey,
No, they're not torture, man. They're torturous. We're gonna have to start using torture cuffs or torturous.
Well, Chili says torture cuffs are always torture, so
Yeah, he
You guys
forgot
ready
to
to
add
keep
the is at the end.
True. He
guys
doesn't
ready
have
to
any
keep
of the
going?
good kind.
What's that, Ryan?
You got to get the good neoprene covered.
Oh, no, they have neoprene covers for them?
Well, no, you can get them. You can make your own.
Okay, so are there officers that actually put those in their torture cuffs?
Bro, I'm not talking about for public.
He's
use.
talking to Flex.
All right, well, we're on the same page then. You got to tell me where to get those because, yeah, I've been having some problems. I almost had my girl get her hand amputated the other night.
Oh, yeah. No, so you can get like for PT, like they make them, the ones that you can put a pin in. You just cut those open and then you can line it with it. Oh, it's so much better, allegedly.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So we
I
need to
heard
get.
allegedly.
I think we should start a campaign in addition to overturning Terry versus Ohio. I think
Yeah,
that we should come up with the slogan that we need to put neoprene inside all torture cuffs. What do you guys think?
That'd be great.
We got to come up with how so neoprene for torture cuffs.
Or something.
NTFT, neoprene for NFTP. What do you got? I don't know. Come up. Somebody tell me. Jody Shiloh, you're the smart one. You tell me how to do it, and we'll create our own slogan. All right, you guys ready to keep going?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do it. TMI says, I'm the Clip Commander.
If you're throwing evidence, my skin is on those handcuffs. The DNA's on those handcuffs. y'all texting each other? He's getting rid of my DNA off those handcuffs, so there's no proof. He used like a gallon of sanitizer on them things.
How sweaty were you?
Go ahead, go ahead, guys. Don't talk over each other, but go ahead and say what you were trying to say, because I can't hear anything you're saying. It's just all muffled.
Yeah, it sounds
He was getting rid of my DNA, man. He had a gallon of sanitizer he was drowning those handcuffs in. Get rid of the evidence. What are you two texting each other about?
No. I was trying to get on the chat because it won't let me on this thing.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was laughing because how sweaty were you, bro, in the back seat?
The hands weren't sweaty, but you got to remember, my hands weren't sweating because they were cutting off circulation. Nothing was coming out of them except for freaking, my freaking insides.
I'm just saying.
And to
I would
answer
have
your
used hand sanitizer.
To answer your question, Wasa, I saw him pop in earlier in the chat. So yeah, I saw Chili DeCastro pop in earlier in the chat. Sometimes he'll pop in for a few seconds. But
I saw him in there. I've got the whole chat bar. You got to remember too, I'm restreaming to Facebook and YouTube, so everybody that isn't in here on your channel is in here on mine.
Oh, it could be that Chili popped in over there then. All right. Well, are you guys ready to keep on going?
Yeah. Yeah, he dipped in on mine because it says paired, so it was mine, and then so he dipped in on mine. You're seeing everything that we're restreaming. You're seeing in like one big chat thread.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, you guys ready? Oh, what the heck? Someone must be in Texas. I heard a rooster in the background.
That's actually me. I'm on the ranch.
Oh, that's awesome, man. All right, here we go.
I don't live in the city anymore, guys. I'm in the ranch. Destroying the evidence. He wasn't in my handcuffs. I didn't do that to him.
So just out of curiosity, Ryan, what is all this here? It looks like he's got maybe an AR-15 or a shotgun in a gun bag there.
Probably a shield.
He's got a whole tray. He could. There could be he might be SWAT.
Man, I gotta get some gear this is cool, man. I could throw all my stuff in my SUV and be ready to roll.
And they're lockable. Some of them you can get.
I think he might be a SWAT member in Munchkin Land, but he definitely not Fort Worth PD.
He could be a rifleman. He could be, just a designated rifleman down there.
Might be his ballistic shield. Well,
his ballistic shields are on top. These look.
No. I'm talking about the close quarter shields, not his body armor, because that's all up there.
That okay for like riot gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, his riot gear is probably down below because he doesn't use it.
I got to get this for my car. This is pretty dope, man. I like this.
Oh, they're slick.
You know what, man. Ryan, I can't say who and what, but Ryan has an inside source at Fort Worth PD. All he has to do is pick up the phone and ask how they've got their car set up, because it's standard in every car.
That, or I know a guy that used to. Oh yeah, it is. If it's standard, I know exactly who to call.
That's pretty sick, man. All right, I'm gonna keep on playing, guys.
They're a bunch of thugs. I can't think of who it is.
What? We can do it on
bodycam, man. It's pretty thin. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I don't want to.
He's not cuffed.
Like I said, I wasn't here to cause.
Cowboy saloon. Oh.
Hey, pause it.
I got the over on the Falcons.
Well,
Go ahead.
All that tax-paying money going to waste.
Go ahead,
I
Ryan.
mean, for such a dangerous guy that they've got in the back of a police car, who is close enough to assist that paramedic if BZ wants to freaking rip an arm off and gnaw on it like it's a turkey wing?
Right. So what you're saying is that there's an EMT there, and the officers aren't close enough to provide him aid or support physically if BZ gets crazy.
I actually got them written up on violation of transporting prisoners because they didn't stay nearby with me. I got them written up for that too.
Are you kidding me?
No, it was in transportation of prisoners. It's in the policies. It falls under 314.0 something or other. I can't remember the exact policy.
That's pretty cool, BZ. Good for you, man. Outstanding.
Policy dictates they need to be with. When you're in the backseat of that car, you need to be with that subject at all times.
Because there's a couple of reasons for that, but it's for that guy's safety. BZ's, not a threat. But if this lackadaisical with him, how are they going to be when it's somebody that's serious? That's why they have to do it all the time. You don't slack off.
Right. To me, as a defense attorney, in my mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Why is this guy even under arrest? Well, he's not no, he is under arrest. He thinks he's under arrest. Objectively, he's under arrest. I mean, how long had you been in that SUV by this time? Well, from the time you had the torture cuffs slapped on you, how long had this been from up to this point, BZ?
This is about 45 minutes at this point, and I'll tell you right now, the second officer had already informed me that I was under arrest for disorderly conduct because I got into that little statute battle with him because he didn't know the statute battle, and then he slammed the door on me. So he had already informed me that I was in arrest, and when he put the handcuffs on me, because I've read Fort Worth PD's policy, I know the minute they put cuffs on you and you're not free to go, you are technically under arrest. And when I said this, you hear me in the very beginning of that video when he puts the cuffs, I said, this is an unlawful arrest. I already made it clear.
So now Chile constantly tells us that you can only be detained for a reasonable amount of time for investigative purposes. Now, what is that normal time, BZ, if you know?
Well, I mean, again, it goes back to reasonable. Here's the thing. At this point, the reasonable initial investigation was supposedly trespassing, which at this point they couldn't figure out whether I was trespassing or not. So you would think 20 minutes should have been way over enough reasonable amount of time to figure out if I was trespassing. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, why is it that I'm still in there? Now they're trying to oh, well, now we got disorderly conduct because you were offended, right? You were offended. You were offended, right? Jedi mind trick. You were offended. Which
that was the African national. That was the African national.
And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not even the word offended is not even in the statute.
Well, we don't have such thing as the crime of offense here. That's the United Kingdom and Germany. So I don't know what they're thinking.
Yep.
It solely says that you must incite a immediate, and the word immediate, breach of the peace or make words threatening somebody. Outside of that, because that's going to be 42.01 subsection A1 or subsection A4. And guess what? I didn't even rise to the level of that. So I don't understand why they stretched it. Why they couldn't just be like, you know what? They just want you to leave. We're sorry. Here's a trespass warning. Have a nice day. Do some damage control and hope that no complaints got filed. Instead, like all cops do, no offense, Ryan, they screw up, they double down, and then when they screw up again, they quadruple down, and they still get bit in the ass because
see, that's how I know you're wrong, because you can't lump us all into the same. Because I was a big fan of calling my sergeant and putting all the blame on him.
That's funny. And by the way,
Ryan, you're going to see
the board 420. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, The Right Stuff 80, for popping in, and Robert as well for joining the channel today, guys. I just want to always, thank people for joining us because it's a lot of work to put these shows together. All right, go ahead.
No,
BZ.
Ryan, you haven't seen the supervisor when he shows up. You think you're gonna put it all on a super? It's gonna get good. How about that?
I mean, I had good supervisors too, though.
Yeah, I thought this guy was good till I got the body camera footage. So damage control.
Right on.
You go ahead, Mike. I'm good
right.
there.
All right, here we go.
Should be a rough night then.
Because I think Dak, he got hurt, and then Zeke, he didn't show up to the game.
What?
They got some like disciplinary reason for like he didn't show up. I don't know like the reason behind it, but they said it's for disciplinary.
They probably thought they could beat the Falcons without him.
It doesn't make any difference. I'm not a Cowboys fan.
I don't know either. I'm only reason I'm on some days because
Hey, BZ, really quick, does he have an IV on you? It looks like there's a tube coming off your arm.
No. What it is he was taking my blood pressure. He was taking it a couple different times because I had the hoodie on. I was pulling the hoodie up. It was elevated. I tried to explain to him, A, I'm in pain. 2, I've been hotboxed back here for about 30 minutes. And I'm going through a lot of stress and anxiety right now, so it's going to be elevated. I think my blood pressure was at like the top number was like 221 or something over I think like 143 or 120. It was high because they were asking me if I wanted to be transported.
Copy that. You look like you were pretty hungry too. You must have been hungry.
I'll
right?
ask a medical professional. 220 over 140. Should he go to the hospital? She's too far away. I would have sent you to the hospital. That's high.
Well, guess what?
High.
I did leave here on my own. I went, charged the Tesla, dropped the dog off, and went right to the ER.
Yeah.
After you ate 2 gummies at home?
I wish it's a felony. I couldn't. I'm in Texas.
The hemp ones. They were for the dog. It's all right.
The CBD? Oh,
yeah. Was it already a felony back then? Had they already passed that law?
No, it's not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
This was November 3rd of 24 when this happened.
Okay. All right. Let's keep on playing, guys. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right.
depending on how the game goes, depends on how the rest of our night goes.
Yeah.
Every time. We don't win.
Well, watch the little guy sweat.
So y'all should be in for a fun night.
Sounds like it. Usually, like, we're good if they play later on, because then Midnight's is already on once it's all said and done, but...
Yeah. See, it's like, it's the opposite for us. Because, like, whenever the game's happening, nobody wants to waste their time and go to the hospital. They just want to watch the game.
Yeah.
So, like, after
We're
sporting
supervisors.
events, that's like when people start calling. It's like, okay, now it's over. Now I can call.
Some people are sobering up, and, or they're upset because Cowboys lost or something, but...
Bigger handcuffs? I don't know anything about that.
Not that we have. Most people have pretty, I mean, I have small wrists, but most people have some pretty decently sized wrists. He's
Stop it for a second,
one
Mike.
of the few people that we interact with where his wrists are just, they're giant.
You're saying you've got decent sized wrists?
Well, what the EMT was asking, because this guy was over here cop-splaining to me about my big wrists, supposedly. The EMT is now asking, what, you guys have bigger cuffs? Like, I've never heard of him. I've been an EMT forever. And he's basically just selling the bullshit to this EMT that he tried to sell me a few minutes ago. So I just think it's funny because handcuffs are one size fits all pretty much. I think they do make a smaller cuff.
No, they make a larger one.
Oh.
Well, I mean, those are usually for really big people, though.
Yeah, nobody buys them. They don't fit in your handcuff case.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Good seeing you 100%, by the way.
I mean, but my wrists would have to be literally twice that size to
by bringing them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
They look like ankle cuffs almost.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That makes sense. You really couldn't fit those in your, what do they call that thing that you wear around your waist?
Shackles.
Duty belt or something?
My bat belt?
Yeah.
My tool
All right.
belt.
Tool belt. All right. You guys ready to keep going?
Yeah.
A little watchdog in the house.
I do my best to like, I'll click it a couple times. That's as far as it'll go for that. And then if you still have issues with circulation, there's not a lot that we can do besides uncuffing.
Quick question for you. Can I get his name? So that we can block him from coming in? Yeah. That's the only reason I want it.
You gonna give out my personal information, officer?
And he shows up.
Yeah, how does that work, Ryan? I mean, typically, if there's an active investigation, do they have a right to disclose this information to a private homeowners association?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I mean, I couldn't even get that information if I wanted to through a public
Nope.
record.
When I asked them for it, they said, get it through records.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Get it through records.
Yeah, because usually they would have their name, but even if it was like if they did a trespass warning, which like a physical form trespass warning, that goes to the police department. That doesn't go to them.
Interesting.
They just get to sign it. They wouldn't usually get any information off of that sheet.
Is it fair to say that would be a violation of department policy to give information about the suspect?
That's Fort Worth. You're probably looking at the other guy who knows the answer, though.
Go ahead, BZ. Would that be considered a violation of department policy?
Yeah, it's in there. It goes under 703 of conduct, which covers most of that right there. But there's also some other privacy stuff. Because if you've noticed on a lot of videos and other encounters, whenever you ask what's going on, well, I can't tell you. You need to go through open records. What's that person's name? I can't tell you. You got to go through open records. That is their policy because they are not the legal department. They're not HIPAA. It all goes through the department's records department. All they can do, now if you notice, that's why he sat there and was like, yeah, I guess I could do that.
Well, the right
not knowing that I was going to get this footage.
The right stuff says it's a Fourth Amendment violation, right to privacy, and I would tend to agree. So it's just an interesting thing for me to observe.
Well, it's like this: they gave him my name, but yet they blurred out the video when they went to the guard shack. When they read off his ID, they blurred it. Why did they blur his name? Because guess what? They weren't supposed to give it out. That's how these every policy that I got, they got written up on every single policy I put in that 6-page complaint. There's a 6-page complaint, okay, that I filed. And these guys, I mean, literally, as I narrate, here's a policy violation. As I narrate, here's a policy violation. Guess what? Fort Worth PD Internal Affairs, they love me over there. You know why? I do their job for them.
Well, I was going to say they should hire you to train all their officers at the academy.
You're right.
Well, should. I mean, they might not be arresting as many people. They may have to take a pay cut.
Doesn't that guy back east do that? That the one auditor guy,
Long Island Audit.
Yeah, Long
He works for
Island.
them.
Doesn't he go and speak at the police conventions and stuff like that?
He has, according to him, I don't know how truthful. Well, I know there's one department that he did, kind of do a little bit of informal training. But there's a guy in Dallas that literally goes around and teaches the cops the opposite of what we teach on how to handle us.
Oh,
and this whole interference thing that they keep dropping the charges for. I'm waiting till the department finally drops him and sues him for bad legal advice.
Oh, well, if he's not a lawyer, he can't give him legal advice. But
it's a consulting firm, so I don't know if I don't know if he's a lawyer or not. But the way he's telling them to get around at a municipality,
most of them, it'll be like just a class, right? It's just an educational class. Some TCLO hours, continuing ed.
Yeah, like I would hire you as a use of force expert if I wanted to prove that the officers exceeded the lawful use of force in a resisting arrest case. Similar, right?
Right.
Okay. Are you guys ready to keep going?
I'm ready when you are.
Let's do it.
It's Basil Sangari or Zangari.
Sorry.
Just dox my name, fuckers.
BASIL.
Zangari, Zangari.
Right here anyway.
Perfect.
The thing is, it's so borderline on the trespass warning, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he was With Tarrant County, it all depends on where your property
Borderline?
starts. If it's on the back side of the gate or the front side, you know. In all honesty, we can just issue him the warning that way and tell him he's no longer welcome to come to the property. That way, if he shows up at the gate, that's technically his
Now
property.
it's a violation.
Now it's a violation. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and
Not at the gate, only if I cross the gate.
I'd appreciate it. And again, you know, we've never really had this. I mean, I've seen these YouTubers, obviously, but you know, that's all he's going for is content, right?
He's claiming he's not one of the First Amendment auditors that, you know, play these, you know, games like this, but he knows too much of the law. That's what
he drives around in an Uber with a dog in the front seat that's actually looking at rides.
Yeah, there's nobody. That's the problem. And you know, he did have the Uber app on his phone, and I don't know if he actually is an Uber. You know, but
no, because the guy called him. I mean, one of our residents called for an airport ride.
Okay.
And that's how the whole thing started. The guy comes in. Our protocol is to ask for ID from every Uber driver, and he refused. And most times that happens, you know, because a lot of them, you know, they're borrowing the Buddy's app or whatever.
Right.
But then they just split.
Yeah.
Instead, he's...
And so just so you guys know, that if the homeowners association has a policy to ask for ID, it is true they have. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's so I just asked the medical professional if 220 over 140 is bad, and she said he's still alive. So yeah, there you go.
Right.
I don't know how they didn't take him. I don't know how he got even a refusal.
If a private HOA has a duty to ask for ID, then they have to ask for it. And then at that time, just for the future, if any of you guys have since they're not law enforcement, you either have to give them the ID or leave. But the problem here is, and I think BZ will also join me on this, is that BZ didn't want to give his ID, and they went ahead and called the police. And so BZ felt compelled to stay because he was.
That's not what happened.
Go ahead, BZ.
That's not what happened.
Okay, talk.
What happened was I pulled up to the gate, and this African, and we're going to call it because that's what he is. He's an African, not from this country, who barely speaks any English. There was definitely a language barrier.
Okay.
I called up. I gave him the address. I've never had this happen at HOA ever. They've said, okay, got the address. Sometimes they've asked for ID. Sometimes they've let me go. Sometimes they've called the homeowner to get authorization to let me in. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? Didn't happen in this case. Instead, this guy says, not my job, you da-da-da-da. So I call the homeowner, tell the homeowner what's going on. In the meantime, this guy's like in my ear, running his mouth, and I'm like talking to the homeowner, and the homeowner's like, well, tell him to call me. I said, okay, I will. So I was like, the homeowner says, it's not my job. I not call. So he just escalated the whole situation, right? So I called the homeowner back and was like, dude, this guy is just like off the hinges. He won't let me in. You know, he want you to call. He's refusing to call. The guy says, well, you know what? Just go ahead and call the Uber. I got to go to the airport, but just go ahead and just cancel the Uber. And so as I'm getting off the phone, he goes, you'll give me your ID. Well, at this point, it's already too late because I've already canceled my ride. I don't need to get into entry. I just want that little guard gate to go up so I can make a little U-turn and leave and just be done and go about my day. And this guy is sitting here to demanding ID, won't let me leave, basically sitting here and telling me that I got to give him my ID. And I just basically told him, I said, I don't know where you're from. I'm from Africa, you racist. I said, okay, well, it doesn't matter where you're from. Bottom line is you don't know the laws here. And, you know, I'm not going to give you my ID at this point. And then I realized that he was escalating it, calling me a racist. And I turned my camera on. That's when you hear him come out, call me a racist. I tell him you need to go back to Africa, learn our laws, and then come back. And he just kept calling me a racist the whole time. And he went in there and called the cops. And of course, I verified with the HOA president because had they not been called when he backed me out and we talked and everything, I would have been on my way. But he jumped the gun and called the cops before he called the HOA guy. And the HOA guy came up there right away and tried to defuse the whole situation. And as you can see,
so BZ, I have some video of him actually. Let's just go ahead and play it so people get a better idea of what you were dealing with at this particular stop.
Can Bohr sue CNN for lying about SA Gov?
Oh, sorry about that.
Can Bohr sue CNN for lying about SA Gov unaliving whites?
The poor, the farmer, I repeat,
Can Boer
I mean, I could understand BZ. I mean, I would be threatened too because you're not even a Boer from South Africa, right? So why would he want to say those things about you?
Well, and here's my whole point. The hour and a half I sit there waiting for the cops to show up, you know how many delivery drivers I've got on that live stream that never show their ID going through that gate?
Oh, gosh. That's unbelievable. Okay, that makes
And
more sense.
they're over there lying to the cops that it's their policy, which they never explained to me until after the cops were called and I was leaving. When I asked that president, I said, did you call the cops? Because if you call them, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to run. Well, why don't you just go on about your damn day? Blah, 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 blah. So it's where kind of everything escalated, man.
Well, let's ask him what he said.
sue CNN for lying about SA Gov unaliving whites?
Yeah, I think he was pretty upset. I mean, he sounds like he wanted to unalive you, BZ. What's going on with that?
I was worried. I was for my life.
Unbelievable. Well, let's get back into the video, and we'll keep on going.
You know, and then his thing was I can't back up, so I stood in the street and directed.
He couldn't back up.
Yeah, because we wouldn't let him take a. He wanted to come in through the gate, right? So I said, okay, just back up. So I'm out here directing traffic, so the fucker can back up.
Right.
And then I thought he was done, and then I think the light bulb goes off. Well, maybe they called the cops, and we had, Ibrahim had, because he didn't know what else to do. But then he's like, well, I'm going to stick around because hey, maybe more content.
Right.
You know, I mean,
what's your last name?
Bush, B-U-S-H.
First name?
Jeff.
J-E-F-F?
Yeah.
And date of birth?
9.
It should be more like Jack for Jack off because that's what he was.
Wait, is there a different way to spell
9-1.
Jeff?
3939.
I guess the G-O-E-N.
And
One F.
Yes, Taro.
Just go back there. If Med starts talking to him, I'll just cut them off and you just tell them you're not welcome on this property, so don't even show up to the gate.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
That's all right. I'll have the process server show up at his house to serve him the papers. I don't need to serve him.
Hang on, Basil, he's got something to tell you.
Just for future reference, you're not allowed on our property. Don't try to pick up the people here. Don't try to deliver here.
Are
Don't try
you
to.
kidding me? Who is this guy?
Thank you.
That's weird.
You know what? I'll give, if you're not there with the guard check, I'll give.
There's the supervisor.
The CC warning to whoever.
Yeah, give it to Josh.
Ryan, you better watch the supervisor bit. This is good.
No, I know. Like I said,
It's not cool.
No, it's
but
definitely not.
but he'll be fine. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really said the last time. So he's over here past the archways on the sidewalk when I get here. They were calling about him not choosing to leave. If he showed up to pick somebody up, but their policy is that they check everyone's ID. So like the Uber driver comes in the neighborhood.
So here's what I'm trying to understand. So this guy is basically telling you, with the police standing there, you're not allowed to come back over here, right?
Well,
Trespass
technically,
warning.
that's the official trespass warning is I'm being given notice orally to not come back to the property, which is fine. You know, I've never stepped foot on their property per se because I never crossed the threshold of that little security arm or the no trespassing sign that's right at the little arm. I never even got to turn around. That's what that whole turnaround point is. It's in their governing I don't want to call it a charter, but they're little HOA rules and policies and stuff because we went through all this back in November. But yeah, bottom line is he's just giving me a verbal, but I don't know why. Again, they're getting my information from the officer, and
Mia Taro is correct that in her HOA, she's saying that cameras are banned in her community. So when I went to question the original guy from Africa about what happened to you, this is as close as I could get.
South Africa replaces Boer farmers with ANC communists.
You never did shameless. You never did.
I tried. I did my best.
You carry also for air. Everybody knows that we don't do this. You never did. You never did.
Anyways, he wasn't really available to talk, and he basically I got in trouble for filming in the homeowners.
You know what? I doxed Ibrahim's phone number. I wonder if we should call him on the live stream and ask him from the lawyer's perspective and the ex-cop what he thought about that whole situation about lying on body cam footage.
Well, again, I did try to talk to him, and he was too busy with his lawnmower and his buddy at the home.
Oh, I'm talking about his. I'm actually in that video. I did dox his phone number, so I mean, we could call him on the live stream.
Oh,
the actual guy.
Is ICE showing up to the deportation hearings in Fort Worth? Like,
ICE should show up to his address. Speaking of which, I could call ICE and.
All right, are you guys ready to keep going?
Honest question.
You guys ready to keep going? All right.
Okay, you gotta identify yourself. So if you need to do that, you turn around, park this car over here. He's over here with his phone out, doing the First Amendment auto stuff. And I'm, full calm and collected with him. So I asked him for his ID, he chooses his ID. And then he's like, he steps back over past the arch of the if I'm not on the property anymore. Like, I'm on a public sidewalk. Okay. So, in order to conduct my investigation, if he wasn't complying with it, I detained him in handcuffs. Come on now. Back to my car. He had his ID on him. And now he's complaining of wrist pain from the handcuffs. But we released him like 2 or 3 times. That's really big risk. I put an extra pair of handcuffs on him so that his shoulders will stay far back. We've uncuffed him for the time being just because his hands were getting a little football. That's just going to do. So, Cobb's going to get him for the authority because he told the male and the security guard in the booth to go back to Apple. So he was in there. I still don't understand. So at the time you were talking to him, he was on a sidewalk. He was like past the archway on the sidewalk. So he really was still on the property. He kept pointing out.
Now, BZ, what about all these Irish pendants on their uniforms? They look unsquared away. Isn't that also a department policy violation?
Yeah, it definitely falls under that uniform policy because they're supposed to maintain it properly. But you got to remember when I filled out this complaint, I had just gotten the body cam footage, so I might have missed an Irish pendant or two on this guy. But I think, but it's too late to go back and rewrite the complaint. But I think I got them on enough policies that they're regretting November 3rd of 24 ever happened.
You mean the insurrection that you committed? You tried to overthrow the government.
The only criminals that day was everybody there except for me and the EMTs.
And Brian, is that a fair statement that if your uniform's not squared away, that's a policy violation?
Yeah, you get a rip.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it all depends on if your sergeant looks crappier than you do, and
All right, you guys ready to keep going?
You're as professional as your uniform looks.
That's what I think. Absolutely. That's why I love the Marine Corps, man, because you don't have a squared away uniform. People can tell you're not a Marine.
Well, that's why Munchkin needed to be about.
When your uniform looks great, you're allowed to shoot people. They said so.
All right.
Munchkin's uniform would look really good if he was 2 feet taller.
You guys ready to keep going, guys?
All right. Yep, let's go.
The sign is like, oh, I'm not on my property. I'm not on my property. It's like, look, man, so he's just you gave him an opportunity to leave.
That's cute.
They were telling him they wanted him gone. And asked for his ID, and they gave him his ID. And then he was playing games with him. So he stepped back through the archway. Like, I'm not on the property anymore. I'm not on the property anymore.
And where is this?
So he was on the other side when I first got here. He was on the other side when I first got here. And then he was playing games and he just stepped back through the archway. So I'm not on the property anymore. But he was still on the property, but he was refusing to leave, basically. It would have been okay if he just left, right? And that's what I was trying to explain. Was like, look, they called us out here because you're refusing to leave. So you could have just gone. So you put cuffs on him because you detained him to conduct my investigation because he wasn't.
So this disgusting fat body is the training officer?
No, this guy's the sergeant. The second guy that showed up was the field training officer. And the Munchkin has been there 4 years.
Look at his gig line. Looks like garbage. Looks like hot garbage. Like he just got out of the toilet.
He took forever to get there. I think he was getting a Hummer in the backseat of a patrol car somewhere.
He probably had to tell Bruce that he had to go home.
God bless.
You guys ready to keep going?
Keep going.
I want him to go back to school or something. It really makes me upset.
Did you hear what he said though? What Munchkin told the supervisor is that he put me in handcuffs because I wasn't complying. So roll it back 5-10 seconds and play that again.
Yeah, and the supervisor goes, so he would have been fine if he would have just left the property.
Tell me when.
Right here, that's fine.
All right, here we go.
Chains and handcuffs, but we loosen them like 2 or 3 times. That's really big risk. I put an extra pair of handcuffs on them so that his shoulders will stay far back. We've uncuffed him for the time being just because his hands were getting a little quicker. That's just going to do. So, Cobb's going to get him for disorderly because he told the male and the security guard in the booth to go back to house.
So he was in there. I still don't understand. So at the time you were talking to him, he was on a sidewalk.
He was like past the archway on the sidewalk.
So he really was still on the property.
He kept pointing at the sign. He's like, "Oh, I'm not on my property. I'm not on my property." It's like,
so he gave him an opportunity to leave.
So I was trying to figure out what was going on with him. They were telling him they wanted him gone. And asked for his ID. And they gave him his ID. And then he was playing games with me. So he stepped back through the archway. Like, I'm not on the property anymore. I'm not on the property anymore.
Did he say that you were getting violent?
No, he was saying that I kept pointing at the thing, saying I wasn't on the property anymore. I wasn't on the property anymore. Oh. Well, I'm telling you, according to what he was claiming was the property, I stepped back through the archway, technically off the property. So I was complying with him. The only problem is he was escalating the whole thing, and he's not telling the supervisor that he escalated the whole situation because there was nobody there to see it. Not even the second cop. The second cop got there after I was already in handcuffs.
Copy that. Okay. All right. You guys ready?
So he's lying to cover his ass at this point any way he can. The field training officer is starting to lie and cover up with him and say, oh, he was trespassing. Well, no, you weren't here, dumbass. So how do you know where I was standing? Because you weren't here yet. Okay. Right. And now this guy is over here trying to figure out what is going on. He's going to believe his guys, but he's got to come do damage control because why are we here for a basic disturbance on where it should be easy to handle? This guy's in a pair of handcuffs. His hands are black and purple and got EMS looking at him. He's no longer in handcuffs. And you guys are claiming now instead of trespassing, now we got disorderly and he's not on the property. So it's like
they're saying as a basis to say that it's some kind of a public disturbance that the guy from Africa who you didn't understand is calling you a racist. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, but you know what's funny is on the 911 call when he's calling, even the dispatcher got frustrated with him because she couldn't understand a word he was saying.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it took an hour and a half to get there because I think they went to the wrong location first.
Yeah.
Before the second guy called back and gave him the correct address, which was the HOA president. And then what's funny is the third caller was the HOA's president's wife, who wasn't even there, repeating everything that everybody's claiming happened, which, you know, we've seen this before, but I'm not going to dwell on it. But this is stuff you guys haven't seen yet. And this just goes to show why I do government accountability operations, especially police accountability operations, and why I dig and I follow up because I don't care how nice this guy is about to be to me. I thought this guy was doing his job and being professional and everything. But then I look back at the body cam footage and go, this guy is as corrupt as all these other guys that are shitting here. And you guys will see that in the video.
Right. It's almost like they use the fact that the guy from Africa was ESL is a way to sort of couch this into a more serious crime. And that's one of the reasons why the federal government, I think recently just passed a law that big rig truckers have to read and speak English because of the public danger that they can create. And I think Teddy Roosevelt was a proponent of English being the only language in this country. And I think this is another reason why I think that makes sense. What do you guys think?
Well, that's why your signs have shapes and colors because you don't need to be able to read.
Okay, allegedly, not entirely true. So to be, according to NAFTA, you were supposed to be able to read and write in English to be able to be trucking from Mexico through the borders, right, interchangeably with the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
Nobody freaking enforced it. And then during the Biden administration, allegedly, they let people who didn't even pass those basic requirements get licenses in other states. There's a whole mess of things going on with a bunch of the motor carriers because they can't afford to work because these guys are traveling 4 people to 1 truck for 10 cents a mile when, going rate's 20. So,
Jiminy
no, there's some problems with it. The only problem I have with English being the primary and only language is a lot of the requirements and benefits. Like, so you lose the funding for language lines.
Yeah.
Right. So if I go to a scene and you do have a family of migrants or something, you don't have the ability to call language line and have an interpreter because nobody's paying for that anymore.
Yeah.
Once we have a nationalized language.
Yeah, well, in other countries, you have to learn their language. We're the only country that lets 20 million people illegally flood across our border. A lot of them released from criminals who are dangerous, just walk across our border. And this is an example of how this could run awry, even if they come here legally. Well, let's keep going.
And which side of the arch was you on?
So he was on the other side when I first got here. He was on the other side when I first got here. And then he was playing games and he was sent back to the arch. And I said, I'm not on the property anymore. So was he. But he was still on the property, but he was refusing to leave, basically. It would have been okay if he just left, right? And that's what I was trying to explain. It was like, look, they called us out here because you're refusing to leave. So you look at it this way. So you put cuts on him because to detain him, to conduct my investigation because he wasn't compliant. What was he? Just all he had was his phone out. He was going back and forth. He wasn't going to ID himself at all. So he was trespassing.
And his gate guard, he's from Africa, he told me that when he first pulled up, they asked for ID, said no, and then they got, he started cussing at him and telling him to go back to Africa, and he felt report around at him, and he was offended by the fact that he kept telling him to go back to Africa, and then he was fucking here, and this, that, and the other.
So he's going to jail.
So, Ryan, is it a fair statement that they're basically doing a huddle to try to figure out how they can stick a charge on him?
Well, yeah, he just told him that I was cussing at the guy. Nobody heard me cuss at any point, at any time. So my whole point is to sit here and say that I was cussing at someone without me admitting it or having it on video.
So, Ryan, go ahead and tell me what you think.
So, yeah, it's a huddle to make sure that they didn't screw up. That sergeant is there to make sure that the department is covered.
Copy that. So for a legal reason, he came out to basically help them build a case against BZ.
Build it or destroy it.
Why would he want to destroy it?
Well, that's when he goes up to BZ and apologizes and plays nice guy.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
Right? Let's
What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That was it. Let's just see if we can diffuse this and get this guy to just go away.
Damage control, right?
Jail sergeant, I called him, see if I can take him on Class C, he earlier, let's do the Class C, they came in because I can't have it. That's fine. So, that's fine. I'm going to come listen to the ticket. If he's going to leave, and he doesn't. So, he just kept requesting supervisor until he got it out.
Good guy's waiting.
It's just that the cops sometimes cut off circulation. Like I said, I talked to like 2 or 3 times to try to address it. At least took them off altogether.
And maybe that was might be a police guy. He's a big guy, so he took his arms all the way back, so he ended up double cuffing him, because he kept complaining about trucks.
Did you all get any pictures of the bruise?
Not yet.
You all know how to do that with these things? Or maybe you have like squirrels with these?
I don't know. I've never done that.
Take a photo with my...
This guy looks freaked out.
Yeah, if he's got an evidence gun, you know, you can put it on there. I don't. And what's his name?
Basil.
Okay. Wait. Basil?
How you doing, sir?
Hi, I'm Sergeant Williams. Can you tell me what happened?
Like I said, this isn't the result of me doing anything. Honestly, I just want to make that. Just the handcuffs being on the too tight position where they were, as long as they were. So what happened and transpired is, and I have it all on video. I was live streaming. What happened was I came here to pick up a customer or a cop here that lived here, and I asked the security guard, I said, go on this side of that. He says that person didn't call. So I called the customer. The customer said, well, you should let you in. And I talked to the security guard and said, I'm getting an attitude about something. And I said, sir, he's giving me an attitude up here. I don't know what's going on. So we kind of hung up because he told me to have him call him. Well, when I started talking to him, he said he wasn't going to call me. And then he was demanding my driver's license. I said, well, I'm not going to give you my driver's license. I don't know why you can't just call the passenger. He said, well, I can't let you in without it. I said, well, fine, call the passenger. I'm not going to call the passenger. So I called the passenger and said, look, I know I'm saying we got to go to the airport. I'm going to have to cancel the ride. This guy's not wanting me to let me in. He's not calling me. He wants my driver's license. This is no distract. This wasn't like a baiting anybody to call anybody to film anybody. This wasn't my intention. Because I didn't even have the beginning part of the conversation before. And what this gentleman did was he started raising hell with me, and I told him, I said, yeah. So he said, fine, cancel it. So I said, okay, open the gate, let me make the U-turn. Because the Bronco that's back there now, I don't know if it's still back there, there was no vehicle parked. So the big gate is where technically the community starts. The gates, I've seen it before, they just lift the gate and make the U-turn. Because backing up into this, everybody was flying in here. They didn't feel safe backing up, especially cars getting right behind me. And then they were backing up. So I told him, just open the gate, let me move around, and I'll leave. It's fine, I'll leave. I'll already canceled the rest. And he started saying something about something other. I couldn't understand him with his accent. And I told him, I said, man, I'm not giving you my license. You threaten to call the cop. You call him what you want. The bottom line is you need to know that I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not even on your property yet. Just ask me to open the gate so I can leave it. You're not going to say backing in the street. This is a public street. I said, I can get ticketed for this if I back up and get it. I'm not going to get it. Let me just turn around so I can stop at the stop sign. And that's where, a little bit back and forth. He said something and screaming at me in some sort of language or something. I didn't see the name anymore. I wasn't screaming. I wasn't yelling. I didn't get out of my car. I had my seatbelt on still. I just said, you know what? Until you learn the Constitution, you can do that. Okay? Now, honestly, the first guy might say that as abuse offensive, but I know the statute. The statute says it has to incite violence. Nobody got violent. He closed the door. He locked the door. He called you guys. And so I waited, or at least I thought he called you guys because he said he was. The supervisor comes up, which is the guy in the Bronco, the white guy that just had me trespass. This is. He's got a blue shirt. Is that the guy?
Yeah, that was the HOA arrest.
So the guy so what happened was he came up and said that's not a problem because I was asking for his name because I wanted to file a complaint the way he was acting. So the guy, I don't know what his name is, agreed to help me back up safely so that way I wasn't getting hit, so he stopped the traffic. So I backed up and I was getting ready to leave and I asked.
He said he's from Saturday, so whenever, if y'all want us to hang around, we can. If not, we just have him sign it real quick and we can have a conversation.
Whenever y'all get called the cops, because if you call the cops, I'm staying around.
Sergeant, would you mind if he just signs really quick? That way they can get out of here.
There was no use of force or anything like that on his part. This is just straight handcuffs too tight. Yeah, if you want to let him go. Yeah. Oh, signature from me.
Yeah, that's from me. No, MedStar guys. Yeah, we'll interrupt here. We'll be right back. So, you don't want to go to the hospital with us?
No, I'll get it checked out with the ER because I need to have them run X-rays and stuff like that.
Just pain right now with it?
Just my.
Okay. So, anybody with blood pressure is high, heart rate is high, not do all that,
I think I'm okay with that.
And so I just want to narrate something here, BZ. I think that I understand why you didn't want to take the EMT because you had your dog in your car. I think under any other circumstance you would have gone, right?
I would have, because I was gonna hold these guys up as long as I could, since they were trying to jam me up some bullshit little charge. I was gonna do whatever it took to stall them up. That guy I could already tell didn't want to be there, and then I got another guy. You know what? Y'all want to jack up my hands and try to blame some shit on me? I got my dog, my car. You know what? All right, now I asked for a supervisor. You didn't want to get one, so now call medical. Now I know you're going to call supervisor because it's policy.
So the bottom line is, if you had not had your dog in your car, you probably would have taken the ambulance right to the hospital. Is that a fair statement?
I would have made sure that they went ahead and did all the tests and my I would have made sure I documented every little thing and took the ride.
But because you had your dog in the car, which by the way had the windows rolled up with no air conditioning, you felt that you needed to get your dog home before you went to the doctor, correct?
Right. They hotboxed me and Brownie.
Okay, let's keep going.
Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead and take care of all this. I got plenty of time. I've got all the time you want.
Damage control.
Like I said, just being away from my dog as long as I have been, it's causing him anxiety, it's causing me anxiety. So that's probably why my heart rate is but if for anything changes, I'll have to just call you guys back.
Look at little man, keep taking his hand. But,
Thank you. Where were we here?
So the gentleman came out, the supervisor. I don't know who I think he might be the homeowner association president or whatever. It seemed like he was de-escalating everything. And he said the other guy had called the police after he confirmed everything. I said, okay, well, I'm going to park over here and I'm going to wait because I'm not going to run. So have them tell whatever side they decide to tell. I'm going to go on my side. So it sounds like you could have just gone. I could have, but then you guys called. If they hadn't called, then I would have trouble. But because you guys called, I didn't want you guys, whatever they decided to tell you after I left, sit here and
So, just for future reference, if they call the police and you're here and then you run, that's something that we have to address. And
I got you.
If you're already gone, you're gone. Okay.
That's not true.
Like I was
Ryan,
trying to explain to you, I never crossed the threshold.
Right, I know that's not true. If they put an APB out on him and someone lies and said that he's armed and dangerous, he's in a real load of shit. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, because otherwise, that is the worst advice I've ever heard from a cop. Nah, if you do something wrong and you leave, you're fine.
And BZ,
What?
you know that that's not true, right?
yep, I know when the cops are called, you better wait because they're going to show. And you don't know what hell, that other guy lied right there on body camera. So, who's to say that they didn't, they're not believing my statement, anyways, but what if I would have left? That's kind of an admission of guilt.
Well, look at it this way. How many stories have you heard where baby mama calls the cop, the guy leaves, and then he winds up getting arrested because of some BS that she said?
I can't believe that he would say that. That's all. He's almost like saying, "Hey, just go ahead and stand against the wall while I call the firing squad." You don't know what those people said to the police about you. They may not like you. Already, the guy from Africa lied about you and made attributed statements to you that you didn't even make. So how do you know what he was going to tell the police? I think the smartest decision that you could have ever made was to wait. And that's just my opinion as an attorney. And then I think that, Ryan, you back that up too, right?
Absolutely. Because they can turn right around and lie about you. Oh, well, what if they knocked something over? Something's been knocked over for a while. He tried to back out and he knocked over that plant. That's $1,000 plant. Well, maybe we should go get warrants for him. What was that license plate number? We'll go ahead and get felony warrants for him.
So would that be like a felony, malicious mischief or destruction of property?
Criminal
mischief, or either or, destruction of property, criminal mischief, and then it goes by the dollar value.
And if it's $1,000, you said that they would charge that as a felony, right?
I believe they might have changed it. It's been a while.
Wow.
Everything's getting more expensive. And in California, that's probably a Class C.
Oh,
Like
California, it's nothing.
Yeah.
That's why all the good citizens are leaving.
Exactly.
All right, let's keep it going.
I've been on public sidewalk and that public part of the where the utility box is. I never crossed their gate. I never went onto their property. So when you came up, I was on a public sidewalk right there by the utility box. That's why I wasn't.
So, I mean, I'm willing to bet if I went and talked to the rep, he'd be.
What they're going to tell you,
past those stone arches right there, that's their property.
What they're telling you and what's actually on the survey is completely 100%.
You could be on a sidewalk inside of the property itself, but that's still on their
I know,
property.
but the public utility box is right there.
I understand, but you're past their stone archways over here. You see where they pull up?
Officer Morgan, I'm not going to.
I understand. I'm not trying to argue with you. Would you mind taking a few photos of that? Sure, I can do that.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, go away.
So let me just get this straight, BZ. You're arguing
what the supervisor said was go away.
You're arguing that since there was a public utility box, that's a public area, correct?
Up to that little, technically their property line doesn't really start until you get through that threshold of the gate, but that security arm that's there with the no trespassing sign can be interpreted to a reasonable person, because they're going to say that somewhere in the video, that a reasonable person would understand that I would be trespassing. They're trying to use the archways. If you look at the archway, why isn't there a gate that swings open? Because the archway is decoration. An archway is not a fencing. It's not a gate. It's just a piece of. It's just a piece of decoration, like the trees and the sign past that cop car. That's just a piece of decoration that they got authorization for to put there, because that's all on city property. I've got, like I said, we've gone through this whole plat thing. We've gone through all this, the governing community, like HOA little laws that they have, and technically it's in a public. Because that was the one thing me and the lawyer were arguing when he was defending me was. It didn't happen. He's claiming it happened at this address. It didn't happen. It happened on private property, public property. Bottom line is it's not private until I go past the threshold of that guard shack.
Right. And don't you have to be trespassed first anyways?
No, you have to be given a warning before you can be trespassed.
Trespass warning, trespass. Yeah, same thing.
Okay, so Ryan, is it your position that first he would have to be given a trespass warning and then he could be issued a citation for trespass, correct?
Right.
You're arrested.
And even then, if you remember all the way back to the beginning, BZ was at the other side of the archway. So even what they're arguing, when he arrested him, he'd already crossed that threshold.
Got it. So that decorative archway, which we'll just call it a decorative,
he'd already passed that threshold, and that's why they had to use the other freaking statute anyways.
Oh, fair enough. So that's what they were doing in the huddle, is trying to figure out how to make this a justifiable use of force.
Yeah, because they knew they screwed up.
Okay.
That's why the sergeant tells him, why don't you go take a picture of that and shut up? You know what I mean? Just go over there now.
Oh, okay. Now it makes more sense. Okay, I'm going to keep rolling.
Good little munchkin.
My call to an investigation.
Not too bad. How about yourself? Better, yeah. Could be, always could be better.
That sign says no trespassing, right?
So that's where
that's the one, right?
That's it. So BZ was nowhere near that sign.
He just went.
No trespassing.
So hold on. Let's roll this back a little bit. So that's the archway. Now, what does this sign say right here?
That one just says like slow down, like speed, slow down, slow at gate or something like that. It's basically warning you that the gate's there and to slow down.
Okay. And then this right here, which
says no trespassing, no unauthorized persons.
So this lines up with the arm bar, and then you were back there at the
Look
decorative.
at the landscape. Look at the landscape there too. You see where the landscape is, where that tree's at?
Yes. Yes, and then you can see over here we've got this power box, which should be public access, so the public utility people can have ready access, correct?
Yep.
Without having to enter the property or have any issues. So it's not on private property at this point. It's just a public sidewalk, and then the private property starts right here where the arm bar is, correct?
Yep, that's where they identified their property starting, or because if they owned any more, then why didn't they build it further up to where the street is? So turning off the street onto this street, you knew it was private before you turn onto it.
That makes sense. And Ryan, are you in accord with this?
Yes. I'm also because they didn't have the turnaround like we discussed in the first.
They do have the turnaround, but he parked at the HOA president. Yeah,
go ahead,
there's a turnaround.
Go ahead, BZ. You were saying
I said
somebody was blocking it or something?
Well, no. After the HOA president came up, because he parked there and put his Bronco there, he blocked the turnaround point.
Copy that. So you couldn't do it.
And then he made a comment about, I said, well, you've got your main gate, I'm trying to turn around. This is a turnaround point. He goes, well, we don't have to, we don't feel like closing that gate. Well, that's on you, not on me. Ain't my property.
You mean they don't feel like opening the gate?
No, they don't feel like closing that black gate that's beyond the guard gate there. The gate that's open to the community back there past the white little arm there.
Yes.
There's a black gate that's wide open because they don't want to open it every time they grant access. They leave it open because they don't feel like closing it.
Okay, so in your mind, you should just be able to drive through there and turn around.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep going.
So there used to be, so that was probably their primary access, and then they put that guard shack up later.
Okay. And then since BZ's ability to turn around in the public area was blocked by the HOA Bronco, he would have to back out, and there were cars coming at high speed, and he didn't feel safe about backing out.
And it was raining. The ground was wet.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Patrick Darcy just joined the chat. Good seeing you, Patrick. Hey, check this out, guys. Patrick Darcy just joined the chat. And by the way, for you guys who don't know him, Patrick Darcy was a former prosecutor, and he's got a lot more experience than I do as an attorney. He's a colleague, and he's also licensed in California. But his position is never talk to the cops to clear up anything. Ask Hoyt Webb how that worked for him. The cop already thinks that you're guilty. Have your lawyer reach out to them, to the cops. And that's my position too.
Well, you know what, real quick, Mike, I want to comment on that. I'm not really a big fan of Darcy because of all the videos he put out. However, as another lawyer, because, I know he kind of sways more with the trolls. I would actually like to see a breakdown of him doing my body cam footage from his perspective, because I know it's not gonna be biased in my favor. He's playing devil's advocate.
I understand.
So I would actually like to see how Darcy, and you've got full permission to show my video, Darcy, if you want to do a legal breakdown on my body camera on your channel, whether I'm on panel or not on panel, and you want to do a video, I don't care. So
all right, well, you heard the challenge, brother. It's up to you, sir.
I'm interested on what he really thinks from his perspective as a California lawyer.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm going to keep on rolling this beautiful bean footage.
Okay, go ahead.
Everything now.
I think
thought he was doing a line.
It needs to, because they were really high that day when they thought they were going to get a disorderly conduct conviction.
Go ahead.
I'm going to be careful with that carbon.
Please change my call to an investigation.
That stuff's toxic.
I thought he was doing a line of coke, man. I heard that tapping.
Not that I
It's
don't
just
think
tick
about
cutting. Oh wait, I think that might be my trespass warning too.
Okay.
So I just continued to stay right over there at the arches, and the only time that I actually crossed the threshold onto the boxes, the silly boxes, when Officer Morgan arrived, that's when I crossed over there to film the interaction with them. So, and as far as no trespassing sign is about another 30, I have a hard time looking at 30 or 50 from that utility dog. So, like I said, I never crossed that escalating.
Sure. No, it's everything's been done with the. Let me ask you. So when the police, kind of getting forward to the police coming up, what happened when the police got here?
I told him, when he went over to talk to the guys in the guard shack, I said, just make sure you got your body camera on. I want to make sure that if I have to go pull this through records, or if I get charges, I can pull it through Discovery to see what they say, because I want to make sure they don't lie. There was 3 of them in there. 2 of them weren't here when the initial thing happened. The other one got here and was de-escalating, and then just was saying some things to me that was trying to get a rise out of me. That's why I was recording.
Okay.
And I wasn't taking the bait. I was staying on the sidewalk over there on that side, away from them. So there wasn't like a breach of peace or disorderly conduct or anything that may cause a fight or anything that would be an issue. So I just continue to stay right over there at the arches. Okay. And the only time that I actually crossed the threshold onto where the box is, utility box, is when Officer Morgan arrived. That's when I crossed over there to film the interaction with them.
Okay.
So, and as far as the no trespassing sign is about another 30. I'm having a hard time looking over here. 30 or 40 feet from that utility box.
Okay.
So, like I said, I never crossed that threshold. And like I said, when he got here, I asked him for his badge number per policy of 703 to go ahead and identify himself. Asked him if his body camera was on. He confirmed all that.
Yes.
I do have to say something. And look, I do agree with everything Patrick said. Never talk to the police. But in this case, guys, I think that BZ is doing a really good job of acquitting himself and creating a record. He's so calm and so reserved and acting very professionally. He knows the law. And I think that a jury would be swayed by this. And I would say that's probably why in your case, BZ, that the prosecutor threw out the case. Do you have anything to say about that, Ryan or BZ, before we keep rolling?
If I was his sergeant watching this video, right, BZ sounds like the more credible suspect, right? If I'm the sergeant and I'm looking at him as both the suspects, BZ looks like the more credible one.
Yeah. And a jury would think the same, in my opinion. This is probably the only time where I would say that it probably wasn't a mistake for BZ to speak to the police, because he sounds like he's really, he's not coming off like, hey, I know everything. You don't know what you're doing. He's acting so good. Like, is this guy a lawyer? He really knows what he's doing.
Knife hand.
Go ahead, BZ.
No, I said I wasn't even giving the knife hand. Like I said, when I went into cuffs, I just kind of, I don't want to say I went limp, but I knew the minute that I got put in those handcuffs, the jury was definitely going to see everything after that point.
Yes.
So I made sure that my demeanor went from this to this, because that officer's demeanor was staying up here and actually escalating by jerking my arm up and hotboxing me. And look, somebody who does this full time already knew what the playbook was before he showed up.
I understand. Yes, and it seems that way. And the arresting officer clearly looked freaked out. He
still does.
Damn. You can tell he looked guilty, like a deer in the headlights. At least that's my opinion. Give me a bunch of ones in the audience if you agree that the arresting officer looked really guilty. All right,
That's what he was doing the whole time for an hour, man. I had him sweating bricks.
That's what it looks like. We're going to keep going, guys.
He asked me to leave. I said, I'm not on public property or on private property. I'm on a public sidewalk. This is public right here. I said, he goes, you're going to give me your ID? I said, I haven't done anything wrong. They won't give me my ID. And even then, I'd have to be lawfully arrested to give you my ID per 3802. It's a failure to identify statute. Is not when you're detained. That's only if I give you false or fictitious information, which I never did. Now, we came out of we were probably about 10 feet in front of the archways on this side here at this point. And he was telling me, well, you just need to leave. I said, I'm on a public sidewalk right now. I said, you know, give me the CAD number and I'll leave. And we were walking this way, actually. I thought he was going to walk me to his car, give me the CAD number, and I was going to go on my way. But that's not what happened. At that point, he said, I can't remember if he said, if you're being detained.
He was telling me to take pictures.
What? Go ahead, BZ.
Oh, I said he's sweating. You see how he's rubbing his forehead? You can always tell that's a sign of I'm stressed out and I screwed up and I don't know what to do. I'm shitting myself. He's been doing it for almost an hour at this point.
Yeah, he looks like to me, he almost looks like he had too much coffee or those energy drinks, right? Like just like a tweaker almost. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, no, he looks like a freaking addict. He's the whole time he's been like, man, I loosened those cuffs 2 or 3 times, Sarge. Like I loosened them, it was fine. Yeah, like he's been tweaking.
Yeah, and so for everybody who's joining us, Ryan knows what he's talking about. He's a retired whistleblower cop, and then of course we know that BZ is a government accountability operative. And as you guys know, I worked for the prosecutor's office for the city of Los Angeles, and I also have been a criminal defense attorney in my past life, and I'm an attorney now licensed in Texas and California. And my impression of this officer is he looks like he's on something. Like maybe he took too much Adderall. I don't know. But anyway,
hey, real quick, Mike, yes, I want to address Darcy real quick because he said something in the chat. And like I said, I don't hate the man because I don't know the man. I think he's a little biased, but he's saying that you're going to seriously argue that I didn't give Chili very good information. I don't know if you gave Chili good information. I'm not an attorney. I don't practice law in California, including the Nevada case that would, first off, Darcy shouldn't be given any advice because he's not licensed in Nevada. And if I don't know about it being a balanced perspective, but if that's his opinion, I'll stick with it.
Well, in Patrick's defense, if Darcy gave out a federal case that's not practicing law in Nevada, but I understand what you're saying. I don't want to get into a shooting match. I'm just grateful.
No. Like I said, I don't have any ill will towards the man. I just thought he was being a little biased. But if he's claiming that he wasn't, I mean, I'll take his word for it. I got no reason not to believe the man. I got reasons to not believe the goddamn police because I got proof of it. But I like I said, but Darcy, I'm not going to go back and forth on Mike's live stream. If you want to do a breakdown of my video, if you want the actual body cam footage where I haven't edited it and put it all together at the same time, email me. I'll email you all the body cam footage. You can piece it however you want to piece it together, man.
I'll help facilitate that. I'm on good terms with him. I think that he's brave to show up with so many people who are Chile supporters who think that he is biased. And I just like when my son competed in his first judo competition, I give a lot of credit to bravery. So, but let's move on with the video and we're almost done. Okay. So here we go.
I said what I had to say, so I'm good.
No, it's all good. But I do appreciate it that we have other people with different opinions showing up on the stream, because that's what I want to do, guys, is not pigeonhole myself as anything other than a fair and equitable person. And so to give people both points of view. And so I think it's awesome that BZ, your video was able to help us do that today. And by the way, thanks for showing up, Rami and Mias Taro and Greg B. Good seeing you, brother. I'm super grateful that you showed up. And as always, James Forbes, before we keep going, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Here we go.
A reasonable person would believe that the property line starts right.
That's what I'm thinking.
How would you know what a reasonable person does? Real reasonable.
The sign right here. You got the guardhouse right there. And then if you cross that archway,
I would assume I'm on the property.
Even if it's on the sidewalk, you're still like.
Yeah. Let me get the address. Get an address for right here.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Circle or lane?
I think it's circle.
Oak Park Lane, you know, nuts.
And
2900.
we were walking this way, actually. I thought he was going to walk me to his car, give me the CAD number, and I was going to go on my way. But that's not what happened. At that point, he said, I can't remember if he said if you're being detained or being arrested.
Okay.
And I turned, I put my arm back here, I had my phone, tried to put my phone in my hoodie front here. When he grabbed my right side and put the arm back in, my phone fell on the ground, I believe.
So you understand why I did that? One moment. Okay.
And then that's he walked me over. At one point, he kind of just lifted my arm a little bit. I told him not to lift it. He put it back down, brought me back in here, went back and did whatever he did. My dog got out of the car and came up here, and Officer Cobb was on scene. I got back here. I was back here for about. It's hard to tell how long I was back here. Afterwards, he came up, did something. I was trying to holler through him, but I don't think he heard me within the glass. About the handcuffs being on too tight, he left. Came back, and then he was cool, calm, collected. Asked me if if the air was on too high. I told him the cuffs were on digging. He took care of that. He put 2 cuffs on, so he was very accommodating with that. This was not due to any force on his part, and I'm sure that's what he's probably concerned with.
Is that due to the cuffs?
That is due to the. You said you put those hinge cuffs on me, right?
So I had the chain ones and the hinge.
Oh, the initial ones, though.
The initial were chained.
Okay, so those were the ones. I guess you could obviously they probably just slipped down, so because they weren't double locked. So that's from that. That's not from him using any force. I would consider that somewhat being passive resistance.
Well, yeah, because you were starting to tense up. You're starting to kind of pull away from me, so I had to get him on there.
You can. I mean, like I said, in his defense on this, I'm not faulting him.
And what I'm going to do is have Officer Morgan take a picture of your hand here.
Yes.
And actually, I want to get that one too. Is there a little bit?
Yeah, they said it was a little bit, but not as bad as this right here.
What did they say about your hand as far as
they said it was a little laceration. They're concerned about this feeling that I don't feel in my hand right now. I just feel pressure here. I told them that I'm just going to go get it checked out.
So you're going to get it checked out.
Yeah, I'll get it checked out on my own.
All right, go ahead, man.
Okay, so here's the thing I do know about Fort Worth. That's one of the things they're concerned about is that little laceration. I've talked about how I know an officer in Fort Worth who was involved in a pursuit, and after the pursuit, they get the guy in cuffs. They went through a fence. It was a whole big thing. That kid lost his hand.
Oh, gosh.
It was because he got MRSA or some flesh-eating bacteria from a laceration from the handcuffs. That's why he's like, wait, laceration. That's why it's a kind of a big deal there, because they know those guys. I mean, that was another Fort Worth officer. It's not the whole state, right? It's one little city. They know.
Yeah, that's why he's sanitizing those cuffs.
That makes sense, BZ. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're all thinking, oh, Jesus, not another one.
Yeah, and it's funny hearing the arresting officer, basically trying to testify in his defense and argue back and forth with BZ about everything that he did that was within policy. I mean, at this point, if I had been him, I wouldn't have said a word.
The fact that the sergeant had to intervene.
Yeah.
Twice.
Bro, you need to back up.
Yeah.
Go take some more pictures.
You're looking guilty, son. Back up.
Go take pictures. Go take some more pictures.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And again, this is another reason why I really want to educate people on the law, because if you know the law and mean to keep it well, like in this case, BZ really did, he actually was able to hold the arresting officer accountable. And there were multiple policy violations issued against this arresting officer because BZ knew his rights. And rights not claimed are considered waived. And ignorance of the law is no excuse. It's an ancient maxim that comes all the way back from common law. And I think that, again, I'll say it again, I think that BZ acquitted himself very well here. Give me a bunch of ones for BZ
Mike.
Watchdog, guys. Go ahead, BZ.
Oh, it wasn't just Munchkin that got written up. Everybody got written up.
Oh my gosh, that's
including
unbelievable.
the sergeant. Including the sergeant.
Dude,
Really?
what?
We'll have to do another video about that, BZ. That's very impressive to me because that really is the only way, from my perspective, that you can hold the government accountable is to basically get citations issued against them so they'll alter their behavior.
He failed as a supervisor. You will see that here shortly. You still haven't seen it.
Okay. All right. Let's do it. Let's roll it.
That's why I went ahead and signed them off. Okay. Because I can feel a little bit here, and pretty much from here up, I just can't really. I feel pressure.
Will you be able to drive?
I think I can. I think I can. Okay. It's a little tight. He was telling me to kind of pump my wrist a little bit, try to get some blood flow. Okay. So I've been trying to do that. Okay. But like I said, you know, I was trying to explain what was going on, and you know, I'm sure it was probably just some sort of miscommunication on you know, his part, my part, and whatever was going on. And like I was just trying to explain to him, you know, you know, I'm on a public sidewalk. If I just got the CAD number, which I think he missed, I'd be on my way, just because I wanted to see what they lied to him about on body camera, and I think they didn't get the full story because only one person was party to the whole story, and I don't know what they were talking about for an hour and a half inside that booth, so I don't know what was collaborated, because I didn't try to approach, I didn't try to get, you know, try to hear everything that was going on. I just wanted to stay over there where I felt, and I'm going to use the word felt so we don't go back and forth, where the utility box was over on that side, that it was public property. And again, we were walking through the arches, and we were on this side of the arches when he finally told me that. I don't even know the words used, detained or arrest. I don't know which one he used.
Detained.
So, you know, like I said, he's been fairly reasonable after I've been back here. He didn't like try to take the ground or do an armbar takedown or anything like that. So there's no use of force on his part.
Well, we're gonna document it all because you know, I you know, whenever got stuff like that, you know, I like to document it. So if you'll take a picture of that, and
Bet you do.
the wrist too, and if you can get a picture of him,
you might want to get that side right there. And then.
And by the way, Patrick says thanks for welcoming him to the show, and he's working on a SLAP. So guys, if you know what SLAP is, it's a strategic lawsuit against public participation. And I've won several of those on appeal myself. And I know that defamation law is definitely a scary thing because you're looking at major attorney's fees on both sides. So it's always a scary deal. Anyways, let's keep going, guys.
That's right. Just, I don't know. It's, I mean, this is a little discolored because that's not how my hands do on the
Anywhere else?
just where they, I don't know if that laceration or where else.
do you mind if I use that to get a picture of you? So we'll just do that and upload it all together. Do you mind if I use that to get a picture of you? Okay, we'll just do that and upload it all together. You set it up for me? Okay. Okay. Okay, and hands that way, and like that, and the chain cuffs. Alrighty, yes, sir. And since you're right here, I'll do the same thing.
So, just with you putting your hand back in your pocket like that, I don't know what you
didn't
had.
know if I was reaching out.
Right, I don't know what you had on you.
A little discoloration.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you didn't take me down or anything.
Right. Well, I'll let you do your part.
Right, sit there.
I'm a big dude, man. I mean,
Alright, like I said before, you're gonna get a ticket for this little phone. Okay?
Freaking tank,
You're
man.
gonna contact the court to take care of it how you feel. Contact the court to take care of it how you feel is appropriate. And this is our trespass warning. It's just stating that you can't come back here. You'll get a copy of it. They'll get a copy of it. That way,
it's not a
it's a warning. It's a warning. It's a warning. It's a written warning. We document it. That way, it's in our system. Sign here. Okay. That's me. You sign here. It's just acknowledging you understand the trespass warning.
What the report numbers on this, right?
Yes. And the report numbers on both.
Okay. That's all. Okay.
That's your copy. Hang on to that.
I'm gonna reach into my pocket to put this in here.
I'm reaching in my pocket.
Same right here. Sign at that X.
Just says
It's just saying you have that you understand you have 21 days to contact the courts. Okay? All the information you need for the ticket is right here on the back side of it. Okay?
They're letting them go? What?
Get in your car and then get your stuff out of here. Get in your car and leave and just, like I said, just
Ryan, I got to ask you this. You're a retired cop. How many times have you seen an arrest like this where there was an unarrest and they let the suspect go with a trespass warning? Twice?
Twice in a decade.
I mean, this is unbelievable to me. I mean, honestly.
No. Okay, sorry. I backed that up. I only saw it once.
Okay.
And I know about the other time because they had to call the Commonwealth's attorney.
Oh, yeah. So, right. So they get the prosecutor on the phone. You got to let him go.
Yeah, basically.
Right. And it's his demeanor, because if he had been combative, calling people pigs and saying, I hate cops and all that, what do you think the chances are that they would have unarrested him?
Oh, gotten hurt more.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
If he hadn't looked so much better to the sergeant, right? No, yeah.
Right.
We'll finish. We'll figure it out in court. Who cares?
Right. But the lesson is that I'm trying to teach people is civility is key when you're dealing with cops. If you're combative, if you come off like a psychopath, you're going to get arrested. You're going to go to jail. You're going to get serious charges, because now they know they've got to get that arrest and make it stick. And they're going to do everything they can to make it stick. But when you have that demeanor that BZ is presenting, it takes all the wind out of their sails. And that's what I wanted to just tell you guys. And there's actually a book called Understanding Civility. I don't have the author's name, but he's an Italian guy. It talks about letting people finish their sentences. Don't cut them off. Be gracious. Let the other person be right. You know, that's the kind of stuff. Instead of winning over people, winning them over. And in this case, you're not trying to win over the cop. You're performing to the jury. And even if you're remaining silent, if your demeanor is such that you're a respectable individual, it absolutely can win the jury. And if I'm the filing deputy, I don't know if Patrick's still watching, but if I'm the filing deputy at the district attorney, I'm going to make this a no file. I'm not going to file charges. There will be no verified complaint issued, because I know I'm going to lose that case, guys. Anyways, anything you want to add to that, Ryan or BZ?
No, pretty much nailed it.
I've got something. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, Greg's over here. He's like, yeah, that's part of the problem is we'll figure it out in court. It is a problem because it's become so hard. And part of that is the litigious nature of our society. It's become so hard to unarrest somebody that they don't want to do it. They're like, I'm scared. What's going to happen if I unarrest them? Might as well just take them to court. I'm going to get effed either way.
Yeah, that's right.
Mike, we'll let you know. I do have something in the backstage there for you if you want to show it now or wait till the video's over.
Let's let the video finish, and then I'll show whatever you've got. Do you have that in the private chat? You have that in the private chat?
It's in the back there.
Okay, all right. Let me just, because we're almost done with the video, and then we'll wrap it, and we'll do anything you want to add, because I think we just got a few minutes.
Except people's over here.
Trust me, I was trying to leave.
I know.
The only reason I stayed is because they called you guys.
I get it. But like I said, I don't say escalated, but through the investigation, like he's saying that words were changed that offended him. So I have to go with that.
Feelings ain't breaking the law or the Constitution. We all know that's why now I gotta.
Like I said,
I'll deal with that.
So even if BZ did say something offensive to the African dude who doesn't understand English, that's not a basis to charge someone with disturbing the peace or something. That's something that they would do in the Soviet Union or Germany or in the UK, where you don't have free speech rights. This is America, guys. So it just
not in Fort Worth. Not in Fort Worth. That is Nazi Germany. Fort Worth, Texas is Nazi Germany.
I hear what you're saying, but under our Constitution, under our Bill of Rights, under natural law, we have the right to say things that are offensive to people. And if you don't like it, you can go F yourself. Anyways, let's finish this.
Offended, and the offense is that he was offended by the words. You don't know what the piece could have been, but the words you said did anger him.
If I would have used the N-word, I would agree with you.
Like I said, you told him to go back to the country he came from, worked his butt off to get over here.
Well, no, I told him until he learned the Constitution. I did throw a little part of that in there.
Well, like I said, that's offensive language, man. It's 2024. You understand?
Well, no, I understand. I know what 3815 says. That's what this is, right? 3815.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
4201.
42 something. Disorderly conduct.
Yep.
So,
I know that
here's your driver's license, your wallet, and this is your cell phone.
Thank you.
Okay? You're free to leave this side.
Thank you.
Damn! Holy crap! That is crazy.
That's your copy. And that.
I'll reach in my pocket, put this in.
It's gonna get better right here.
That's wild, man. Wild.
I'm gonna hand this off to him really quick.
Walk of shame times 1,000.
This is for you guys. This is a criminal trespass warning for him. So that if he comes back, we'll arrest him. Okay.
Okay, do I need to do anything on my part? Do you need anything?
No, we already talked to the HOA rep, and we were talking to the security guard that was here before you, so you should be good. Thanks.
You didn't even trespass. It wasn't on their property. Stupid.
I got a trespass warning.
Yeah, but you weren't. You didn't trespass, is what I said.
Hey, we get trespassed off property we've never been on all the time.
So what I was trying to explain to him.
Let me just one moment. I'm going to actually, if there's any, actually, I'll leave it.
Turn this body camera on.
When I went to put him in cuffs at first, he started to tense up and kind of like pull away, and the phone that was in his right hand, he was putting his hand back in his pocket. I didn't know what he had in his pockets. That's why he yanked it back out. Yeah. And so
I didn't
just
do
do a
that.
very, very excellent report. Take your time doing it. Make it how I know you're going to make it.
Yeah.
And just everything where we can justify hands and everything else, because I can already tell what he's trying to do. Yeah. So yeah, I just do a really good report and upload all those pictures for me, and I'll take care of the rest. Okay. But and then if whatever you saw, if you want to do a supplement.
I got to do a report for the disorderly conduct.
Yeah, that part. So definitely everything, because we'll treat it as a, when it's discoloration and everything else. Yeah, we're gonna do it.
The COA.
Yeah, we're gonna do a blue team on it. So it's just like, hey, it's like, got to do it. Because I know he will. I know he's going to have like some sort of YouTube thing or something. It sounds like. So.
I mean, apparently in his mind, telling the African that worked his butt off to get over to the United States to go back to Africa, it's not offensive. I don't know.
Are the videos available in case the detective?
They don't know.
Okay.
They don't know.
Okay. Now, does he have some sort of body camera or something like that?
No, they don't. They're just wearing. I mean, they literally just check IDs and check stickers on cars and let them in.
Okay.
So.
Very good. Well, we will. I guess that's it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love your dog.
He's friendly.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'll let
Brownie don't like him. Brownie don't like him.
That was amazing. So they were basically saying CYA. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what he's going to do. It was just like, you got to be kidding me. These guys were out for blood, man.
Dude, excellent report. An excellent
and report. I'll take care of the rest.
I know, right? It was almost in slow motion. Don't worry. I'll take care. What, bro?
That was wild, man. I can't
believe
it.
That would look insane in front of a jury.
Hey, Mike. Now, backstage, you have that document. Now, this is the results of the internal affairs investigation.
Well, I'm trying to open it, but unfortunately, there's no link.
It's backstage now, bud.
Yeah, there's nothing that says backstage. Let
me try this again, because you don't know how to operate your own.
What you could do is you could just put it up on the screen. Oh, here we go. Strike that. Here we go. All right, let me take down this other one. Hopefully I can stop sharing that on yours.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't have the ability to move this thing around or manipulate it. So
why don't you make us small?
Let me see if I'm able to do that. That's the best I can do. I can't move it.
No, it's okay, because I'm navigating the rest of this right here for you.
Oh, you can do it. Okay, perfect. All right, let's do it, guys.
So you see how it's got Officer Morgan, Officer Cobb, and Sergeant Lyons.
Uh-huh.
So
now, just really quickly, Ryan, hey, scroll back up really quick, BZ. The badge numbers on the upper right there. Ryan, now with the state bar, for example, mine's in the 200,000 range, and that means that I'm like 200,000 in people that have been lawyers.
Oh, no, they get recycled.
Okay, I thought it was based on experience.
Well, let me interject for a second. Officer Cobb.
Yeah, their CAD numbers.
Got it.
Officer Cobb actually left Fort Worth PD in February of 24 and came back right before this incident. So his badge number went from being like 38 or 42 or 4,300 to 5092.
Okay, but it has nothing to do with their number at the department. It's just a recycled number.
That's a recycle. Well, they don't really. Once the number's been used, it's retired.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. So when you come back as an officer again, you get a new number.
Okay.
Your old numbers are retired. You don't. So nobody gets
like
those numbers.
If you're Michael Jordan, your jersey gets retired.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
I guess when you have a bigger budget, that's
okay.
But
because you have to get all kinds of new
But
stuff.
if you can see the Sergeant Lyons 3,400 number,
yes,
and the guy's been there for over 20 years.
Okay, fair enough. Keep going, BZ. Talk to us.
Okay, so on this is the Professional Standards Division, okay, of Fort Worth. This is their internal affairs. So this was dated. I got this on April 28th, so I got this a month and a half ago. IA complaint number involving Officer Morgan, Officer Cobb, and Sergeant Lyons. So the Fort Worth Police Department has completed the investigation of your complaint and found that there was no wrongdoing. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't say that. That's my normal shit I'm used to hearing.
Right.
The investigation process included a review of your complaint, the offense report, YouTube videos, body-worn camera videos, the citations, statements, and applicable general orders and police personnel rules. That's because I did their job for them. At the conclusion of the investigation as described above, policy violations were identified by multiple officers and sent to their chain of command for recommendations and solution. This concludes the investigation conducted by Fort Worth PD, and we appreciate your time and patience during the investigation process. Sergeant Williams, because this is you can tell he's been here for over 3498 and 3413. So Sergeant Lyons has actually been there a little bit longer than him, and I know Justin has been there I call him by his first name, Justin. We're on a first name basis, as many complaints as I've put in. We're looking at 22 plus years. So, but this complaint was, unfortunately, I've requested the disciplinary records 3 different times. The last time I got is they know that there's potential litigation coming as an excuse, and they've blocked my records for the records for their disciplinary.
Okay, that makes sense because they think that you might sue them.
Oh, they know I'm gonna sue them. I openly in a city council meeting put everybody on blast and told them it's coming.
Okay.
But that was already after I've got denied records for their disciplinary records like twice. So I just keep putting record requests in to just bog them down. It's a tactic I'm using.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, look, we've been on this bad chicken for about 2 hours and 23 minutes. So
yeah, I got a premiere going on in 47 minutes. For those who are tired of looking at Fort Worth, I've got some really good city corruption on part 3 going on in Hillsborough in 37 minutes. So
if y'all need somewhere to go, I've heard it.
So I'm ready to get some chow. I don't know about y'all, but make sure to join on to BZ's premiere in like 47 minutes or whatever. Ryan, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all your information with us and having the bravery to face all these people who are so hostile to the police. And I appreciate your work as a whistleblower and trying to do your part to hold the government accountable. BZ, you did a terrific job. You got even Patrick Darcy to come out of the woodwork to come on here and talk about your show, which is really cool. And I'm just really grateful that you're safe and that you didn't get locked up and that you're not in the same position that Lane Myers is in. And again, guys, I can't stress to you enough how civility and coming off like you're under control how far that goes in proving to, at the very arrest stage, to the cops. They know right away, if you're not hostile, if you're not calling them pigs and getting crazy with them, they know that they're going to have a really hard time getting this case to go forward. And the DA is also going to be pissed at them. And so, again, guys, and I love Lane, but look, he the other day he already pled out, I believe, to 2 felonies, and he still hasn't been sentenced. And I've said this from the very beginning. I honestly believe, and I love the guy, if he had been able to maintain his cool earlier on in the stage, I think there's a higher likelihood that he would have never been arrested or charged. And so that's just all I can tell you guys, just from my experience over 20 years now as a lawyer, that civility will always win over an angry, hostile attitude. And I know a lot of you guys hate the police and stuff, but you're not doing it to impress the police. You're doing it ultimately to impress the jury. Do you guys have anything you want to add?
Yeah, Mike, I actually real quick,
yes, sir.
When you're walking the line on the law, like with Lane Myers, okay?
Yes.
I've said at the very beginning, I knew it was going to come to this. I knew he was going to pretty much cross what we call the Eric Brandt line, because that's how they jammed Eric Brandt up in Colorado 7 years ago. I think it was like 7 years ago, is with these harassing and stalking, like they did Craig Hendry a year ago, okay? Or 6 months ago. Problem is, when it comes to stalking and harassing, you have to be very careful, because it's all, I think it becomes to where on how they interpret the law, because that law is so gray that just calling someone twice could be considered harassment. But man, you got to learn the laws, man. You got to know your rights, and you got to learn the do's and don'ts when you're out there, because these cops do play dirty. No offense to you, Ryan, but you've seen it, man. These cops will lie, cheat, and steal from their own mother if they think they can get somebody arrested. Or if they screw up in this case, cover their ass.
Well, knowing the law better makes it easier for you to not
Absolutely.
get in trouble.
I mean, I think BZ knew he didn't do anything wrong. And so he had the confidence, because he knew the code sections, the statutes, everything, that I think that he knew that they were going to have a really difficult time. And ultimately what they did try to charge him with, he got dismissed, didn't even have to go to trial on it, right, BZ?
Nope.
But you didn't act like
the prosecutor's the one that ended up dropping it.
Correct. The filing deputies won't even charge something like that. I guess in this case they may have, but after you got counsel, they realized that this dog wasn't going to hunt. So you did well, brother. And it's unfortunate that you probably ended up having to spend so much money with legal counsel and time and energy, but because you're an activist, I believe that it was worth it, because you were able to send a message to other people about government accountability. And I think that's why I have you on the show, because I believe more than anything in holding the government accountable. Whoever they are, whatever political party they are, you have to hold them accountable, because once they get away with it once, it's your open game to violate people's rights. So give me a bunch of ones if you guys agree, and for supporting BZ. Go ahead,
Mike.
BZ.
When I got jammed up, I think I had been doing this about 10 months at the time. I've got another 7 months under my belt now from that incident. And I've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people, and including yourself, because we don't really talk as much because you're busy, I'm always busy, that I'm working on. I'm putting videos together, because y'all ain't seen how much I've progressed. I don't put every move and every play that I do out there anymore, because I don't want people to know what's about to hit them right in the face. I might have played my cards a little too soon with Fort Worth PD putting them on notice, but you know what? Obviously they got to the point where they're scared, because they're blocking me from getting records due to litigation. So they are scared of a lawsuit coming.
Well, in any event, you did well, you acquitted yourself well, and you maintained yourself, in my opinion, in a military manner, keeping always on the alert and observing everything that takes place with insider hearing.
ABC, man, always be closing.
That's right. And what general order is that?
Oh, that's a sales 101, baby. Always be closing.
No. To walk my post in the military manner.
Oh, that would be, hold on. Walk my post from flank to flank. Take no shit from any rank.
Kill. All right.
Sorry, that was my old general order, but yeah, that's
good enough, man. That is good to go. All right.
I believe that's general order number 9.
All right, so guys, I'm gonna go. I'm out, but thank you, Rami, for showing up. The chosen ones, Blades, Gloria, as always. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for the super chats and getting memberships and getting other people involved on Team MPE, holding the government accountable. Lynn Davidson, James Forbes, Tom Shaw,
What does that say?
The chosen
What does that say,
ones.
Ryan?
Hey, just real quick, Mike. If y'all are in a major city, I know you two are. The ICE, like people are closing down downtown.
Dallas closed down.
San Antonio, downtown San Antonio's is closing down already. They had all these ICE things. So y'all stay safe out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Seriously, if you're gonna be out there, filming, be safe.
Yeah, be careful, man.
Because there are going to be bad actors out there trying to get some stuff accomplished.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, Ryan, and this is something I tried to tell Chili. If I'm gonna be going out in a dangerous situation, inserting myself like a riot to where I'm gonna wear my flak jacket. I'm gonna wear my bulletproof vest with press on both sides, just so that way I identify as press. And if I get shot with rubber bullets, it's not gonna hurt as much. It's something that Chili, I think, has learned a valuable lesson now, getting jabbed and rubber bulleted. I don't know if you saw that short he put out, but he got hit with a rubber bullet and jabbed with a nightstick.
Well, don't get in the way of them, and they won't.
Well, I think it's important. Before we go, I think it's just important that if you're gonna be out there as press, identify yourself as press.
All right, guys, and obviously, I want y'all to stay safe too. I believe in holding the government accountable, but you don't want to be in a position where you're getting arrested for inciting a riot. So just be careful out there, guys. Now, with that being said, Patrick Darcy says that the DA did the classic script on the Myers and bring a truckload of charges and then get the plea. He will be on supervised release, meaning he could face more time if he violates the terms. Look, I don't even know, Patrick, if he's going to get supervised release. There's a chance that he may get some time, unless you know more about the case than I do. But my understanding is that the judge is still working on whether or not he's going to let him out at all. He was denied bail. He was denied any kind of release after he entered the plea. So I'm not sure what's going to happen to him. But I wish him the best, and I hope that he can be reunited with his wife. I believe that harassment statute is unconstitutional, and I hope that the Arizona legislature goes through with their intent of invalidating that statute. I believe that I believe that it's unfair. And as applied to him, I absolutely believe it was unfair. So with that being said, again, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. Semper Fi. Do